Chapter 340. On the way to the campus, Lin Jiej received a call. By the time he hung up the call, he was already almost at the entrance of Ji University. Lin Jiej turned to look at Shuyao, intending to ask her if she was going back to the dormitory or somewhere else, but before he could say anything, he caught sight of the phone Shuyao was looking at. She's browsing Taobao. The first thought that popped up in Lin Jiej's mind was to buy food, but when he saw the search term she was looking for, he couldn't help but frown. Inkstone? Softbun was actually looking at an inkstone. Could it be that Softbun didn't buy any inkstone for grandfather's birthday present? Then, according to Liang Mumu, Softbun had prepared a birthday present for grandfather a month ago. Was that pure nonsense? Liang Mumu and Softbun's relationship had clearly broken down. So what was Liang Mumu's motive for doing this? Lin Jiej's frown deepened. Roughly 30 seconds later, he had a rough idea of what was going on. If Liang Mumu were to compare herself to Softbun, there was no doubt that Softbun had a weakness, and to Liang Mumu, Softbun's greatest weakness was her lack of money. Since Liang Mumu told Softbun that she wanted to buy an inkstone right in front of her grandfather, the poor Softbun could only buy an ordinary one. Putting aside what Liang Mumu was up to, this ordinary inkstone could very well be her weapon, or to be more precise, it could only be described as ordinary, so Liang Mumu's words in the ward were actually to dig a hole for Softbun? A sharp glint flashed across Lin Jiej's eyes. We're here. Shuyao was the first to notice that the car had arrived at the female dormitory. She exclaimed in surprise before turning to Lin Jiej. She was just about to say we're here when she noticed that there was something amiss with the young man's complexion, and the words at the tip of her tongue abruptly died in her throat. Upon hearing her voice, Lin Jiej quickly stepped on the brakes. The car came to a stop, and just as Shuyao was about to alight, she took another glance at Lin Jiej, and seeing that his complexion was still a little pale, she pondered for a moment before asking, "Did something happen?" Lin Jiej frowned. A few seconds later, he realized that it might be due to his pale complexion, so he quickly shook his head and replied, "Nothing." After a pause, he added, "I'm thinking about the project." "Oh, I see." Shuyao didn't doubt his words at all. She smiled and said, "Goodbye then. Thank you for sending me off." The corners of Lin Jiej's lips curled up slightly as he replied with a soft After sending Shuyao off into the female dormitory, he picked up his phone and made a call. "I have a favor to ask of you. Can you help me look for a particularly high-end and expensive inkstone?" Money isn't a problem. What's important is that it's classy enough. Thanks." After hanging up the call, Lin Jiej's lips curled up into a cold sneer. Isn't Liang Mumu a little too naive? Did she think that she could bury Softbun just like that? He wanted to let her see who was the one who dug the pit and buried the other. After sending Shuyao back to school, Lin Jiej drove back home. Since he didn't have any classes on Monday morning, he didn't go back to school. Instead, he stayed at home for another night and only asked his driver to send him back to school at 10 o'clock on Monday morning. He didn't let the driver drive the car to the dormitory. Instead, he stopped the car at the school gate. Chapter 341. Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou greeted him one after another. "Boss?" Lin Jiej stared at the two of them in surprise for a moment before asking doubtfully, "You're going out?" "Xia Shangzhou, that's right. I'm going shopping with little Lai Lai." "Lu Benlai, that's right, boss. I've been through a lot of hardships, and I've finally found an opportunity to get close to my wife." "Xia Shangzhou, she's my future wife and an uncertain future wife at that." "Lu Benlai, is there a difference between a future wife and an actual wife?" "Xia Shangzhou, what's the difference? You ignorant and incompetent grandson." "Lu Benlai, the heck, you unfilial grandson." Lin Jiej was already used to the two of them bickering over the slightest matter. His eyebrows shot up, and without saying a word, he walked past them and headed back to his seat. But a second after he sat down, Xia Shangzhou suddenly spoke up, "Boss, there's something you might not know yet. Yesterday, little Lai Lai and I were eating cold noodles at the back of the school, when we bumped into a girl that little Lai Lai had taken a liking to. Little Lai Lai took out a love letter that he had been writing for a month and passed it over to the girl. Guess what happened, boss?" "Lu Benlai." "Grandson, shut up." Ignoring Lu Benlai's protest, Xia Shangzhou continued gleefully, The girl didn't even spare a glance at little Lai Lai. She said that she didn't want it, and little Lai Lai shamelessly insisted on giving it to her. Lu Benlai. How am I shamelessly? I'm just chasing after her relentlessly. In the end, the girl grew impatient with little Lai Lai, so she accepted the love letter. Little Lai Lai was overjoyed, but the next second, the girl threw the love letter into the trash can. Little Lai Lai, who was overjoyed for less than 2 seconds, asked the girl, "Why didn't you take a look at it?" The girl replied coldly, "Since you've given me the love letter, it's mine. Do I need your opinion on how I want to deal with it?" After that, the girl put down her chopsticks, left the petrified little Lai Lai behind, paid the bill and left. After finishing his story, Xia Shangzhou began laughing mercilessly at Lu Benlai. "Lu Benlai, what the heck are you laughing for? Is it that funny?" Xia Shangzhou replied, "Yeah, I want to laugh when I see my grandson being humiliated. You can't hit me, can you? I can't help it. I'm just that strong, ha ha ha. Lu Benlai, it's over. My grandson has gone mad. Boss, I haven't finished yet. Do you know why little Lai Lai wants to go shopping today? That's because he heard that the girl he's interested in is attending the French elective class tomorrow, and he's intending to attend it as well. He said that he'll be able to improve their relationship as quickly as possible. She doesn't even want to read his love letters, but he's intending to attend a class with her to improve their relationship." Ha ha ha. Xia Shangzhou suddenly stopped laughing as he mercilessly stabbed Lu Benlai in the back. "Little Lai Lai, pardon me for being blunt, but have you returned the ant flowers from last month? Now you want to go shopping and buy clothes just to meet your goddess. It's the ant flower. It belongs to the ant flower. I'm not an ant. Why should I return it?" After Lu Benlai replied confidently, he turned to Lin Jiej and asked, "Boss, do you want to go shopping with us?" Without hesitation, Lin Jiej replied, "I'm not going." At the same time, Xia Shangzhou said, "Boss, Junior is going to French class too." Chapter 342. Thus, the three of them left room 501 side by side. And so, the three of them skipped their afternoon classes and shopped around the mall until 6 in the evening before returning to school with their shopping bags. And so, the next afternoon, Lin Jiej and Lu Benlai took a bath and changed their clothes, surrounding Xia Shangzhou and asking, "What do you think of this? What about this?" After going back and forth for around an hour, the three of them headed to the open French elective class in school. Shi Yao and Leng Nuan were the first ones who wanted to attend the French elective class. Later on, He Tian and Zhang Yu saw that 2 of their roommates were going, so they decided to tag along as well. Shi Yao and the others arrived rather late, so by the time they reached the classroom, the seats at the front were already filled. Even if there were empty seats, it was only 2 to 1. Thus, the 4 of them chose a row at the back and sat down in a row. Soon the bell rang. The French elective was a native of France. After walking into the classroom, before he could even speak, the door to the classroom was pushed open, and 3 male students walked in. Shi Yao and the others recognized the 3 of them. The first to enter was Xia Shangzhou. Everyone in the classroom was extremely calm, as the elective class hadn't started yet. They were either swiping their phones or whispering to one another. The classroom was in complete chaos. The second to enter was Lu Benlai. He was dressed in a peach-pink t-shirt. The color of his t-shirt was simply too eye-catching, and quite a few people turned to look at him. The commotion in the classroom quieted down a little. The third person to enter was Lin Jiej. As usual, he was dressed in white, but today he was wearing a white shirt that accentuated his tall and slender figure to perfection. Furthermore, he had applied hair wax to his hair, so it didn't hang down casually like it usually did. Instead, it was slanted, revealing his plump forehead. This made him look no different from a male lead in a Korean drama that would shock the hearts of the audience. Lin Jiej was an influential figure in the school, and there was a popular saying in G University, if 9 out of 10 students know the name of the principal, then 10 students would definitely know who Lin Jiej is. Therefore, the moment he stepped into the classroom, he attracted everyone's attention. At the same time, the entire classroom immediately quieted down. However, this silence didn't last for more than 10 seconds before Shi Yao heard whispers coming from all directions. "Wow, Lin Jiej, he's so handsome. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen him in person. I didn't expect him to come to my French class. If I'm not wrong, the next French class will be packed. Putting aside the bystanders, even Shi Yao was dazzled by Lin Jiej's beauty for a moment before falling into a daze. On the other hand, Lin Jiej seemed to be oblivious to the gazes and discussions around him as he followed Lu Benlai to the back of the classroom expressionlessly. The gazes of the students in the room followed Lin Jiej's back. In truth, Shi Yao was also a little curious as to where Lin Jiej and the others would be sitting, so her gaze also circled around Lin Jiej. However, as Lin Jiej drew closer and closer to her, Shi Yao couldn't help but feel nervous. It wasn't until Lin Jiej reached her row that Shi Yao couldn't help but grab her brush tightly. He wouldn't be going to sit next to her, right? Chapter 343. It was only when Lin Jiej walked up to her row and slowed down that Shi Yao couldn't help but grab her pen tightly. It can't be that. He's going to sit beside me, right? As this thought flashed across Shi Yao's mind, she began to feel even more nervous. She subconsciously raised her eyes to sneak a glance at Lin Jiej. He really did stop at the aisle beside her. Shi Yao gulped down a mouthful of saliva nervously, and even her breathing became a little cautious. Just as she thought that Lin Jiej would sit beside her in the next second, and everyone's gazes would fall on her, Lin Jiej's figure suddenly moved. Then, accompanied by a few slight noises, Shi Yao felt the table behind her shake slightly. Lin Jiej had taken the seat right behind her. So I was just thinking too highly of myself? Shi Yao heaved a sigh of relief as she loosened her grip on the pen in her hand. After Lin Jiej found a seat, Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou also took their seats. Shi Yao and Leng Wan sat in the same row, but Zhang Yu and He Tian were between them. Without a doubt, Lu Benlai chose the seat behind Leng Wan. As a result, Xia Shangzhou, who was sandwiched between Zhang Yu and He Tian, couldn't help but glance at Zhang Yu and He Tian. In the end, Xia Shangzhou decided to put down the two seats between Lin Jiej and Lu Benlai, filling up half of the seats. Compared to Boss and Lu Benlai, who could only look at the back of one person's head, he was much better as a third wheel. He could look at two people at once. After Lin Jiej, Lu Benlai, and Xia Shangzhou were seated, the French teacher announced that the class would begin. There were still quite a few people who turned their heads to look at Lin Jiej. It was only when the French teacher announced that the class would begin for the third time did the classroom finally fall silent, and everyone's gazes finally returned to the podium. In the first place, Lin Jiej, Lu Benlai, and Xia Shangzhou weren't here to listen to the lecture. So after the French teacher began the lecture, Xia Shangzhou took out his phone, put on his earphones and began playing games. Lu Benlai supported his chin with his hand as he stared intently at Leng Wan's back. On the other hand, Lin Jiej took out an advanced mathematics textbook that he had borrowed from the school library and began reading it. While he was reading, Lin Jiej would occasionally listen to the French teacher's lecture, paying attention to the latter's words from time to time. This lesson was really child's play. If he listened to it too much, would it lower his IQ? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej calculated in his mind for a moment, and after solving a complicated problem, he flipped through the pages of the book. If it wasn't for Soft Bun, I wouldn't have come at all. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej subconsciously lifted his gaze to look at Shi Yao's back. The clothes she was wearing today were a little loose, which made her slender back look even thinner. She sat upright in front of the table, listening to the lecture with her back straight. He could vaguely see a small part of her arm, which was whiter than snow. Lin Jiej stared at Shi Yao's slender arms for a moment before shifting his gaze back to the book. However, barely after taking a second look, a thought suddenly struck him, and he raised his head once more to look at Shi Yao's back. So it wasn't an illusion. Her clothes really were a little translucent. He could even see the color of her underwear. It was a light pink. Luckily, he was the one sitting behind her. Lowering his head, Lin Jiej continued reading his book. Chapter 344. Beauty really is the bane of men. Lin Jiej lampooned in his mind as he closed his book and leaned lazily against the back of his chair, staring straight ahead. He was tall, so he was able to see past Shi Yao's head. In truth, he was just casually looking around, but a man and woman in front of him suddenly caught his attention. The man and woman seemed to be a couple, and they were secretly holding hands under the table. The man had a pen in his hand, and he seemed to be taking notes. On the other hand, the woman's left hand was on the table, fiddling with her phone. There's actually a class like this? Lin Jie stared at the couple curiously for a moment before he turned his gaze back to Shi Yao. Even though what he had just done was inappropriate, at the very least it was disrespectful to the teacher in the classroom. However, if Soft Bun were to be with him, he would be willing to accompany her to class and do those inappropriate things together. Putting aside taking notes, even if he had to copy a textbook, he would do it for Soft Bun. It had been 3 years since he entered university, and the ones sitting beside him had always been those two fools. Just the thought of it made his heart ache. While Lin Jie was intensely disdainful of Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou, He Tian, who was sitting beside Shi Yao, leaned over and whispered to her. Liao Yanwan said that she's here to learn French, so that she'll have better job opportunities after she graduates from university. What about you? Shi Yao tilted her head and leaned over to He Tian's side. For French red wine and delicacies. This answer is really Shi Yao. But if Soft Bun is learning French just for that, there's really no need for her to do so. I'm a good French teacher, so I'll accompany her. I'll be responsible for the language and money, and all she needs to do is eat. While Lin Jie was deep in thought, He Tian spoke up once more with a love-struck look on her face. Don't you think that our French teacher is really handsome? Do you think that Soft Bun is as love-struck as you? Lin Jie thought disdainfully in his mind, but a second later, Shi Yao replied yes. He's so cool when he's talking about French delicacies. You can even be praised for that? Lin Jie was speechless for a moment before he leaned over to Xia Shangzhou and began speaking in French. Of course. Xia Shangzhou stared at Lin Jie with a dumbfounded look on his face. Boss, what did you say? Ignoring Xia Shangzhou, Lin Jie continued speaking in French. Shi Yao and He Tian, who were seated in front, heard Lin Jie's voice, and they quickly turned their gazes over curiously. Noticing Shi Yao's gaze on him, Lin Jie began to speak French in a frenzy. Xia Shangzhou was even more dumbfounded. Boss, I really don't understand. Who cares if you understand? Lin Jie spoke up and he spoke in French. Xia Shangzhou. Boss, can you please speak Chinese? The whole world is learning the Chinese language. Confucius's words are becoming more and more international. The second half of the sentence was a lyric. Halfway through, Xia Shangzhou even started humming while swaying left and right. Then he lost control of his voice and disturbed the French teacher who was standing on the podium and lecturing non-stop. Following which, the French teacher noticed Shi Yao, who still hadn't turned her head around, and Lin Jie, who was speaking to Xia Shangzhou with his head tilted to the side. Then the French teacher pointed to Shi Yao's row and said, "The second last girl in this row, stand up." Chapter 345. For a moment, Shi Yao couldn't figure out who the French teacher was referring to. It was only when He Tian nudged her arm that she realized that the teacher was referring to her. Shi Yao hurriedly stood up, but before she turned to look at the French teacher, she didn't forget to glare at Xia Shangzhou. Meeting Shi Yao's gaze, the French teacher asked in French, "Student, what's your name?" Shi Yao understood what he meant. "Shi Yao." The French teacher continued speaking in French. "Which faculty are you from? Which class are you from?" Out of habit, Shi Yao still replied in Mandarin, "Year 1 English faculty." French teacher. "Please answer my question in French." Shi Yao quickly repeated what she had just said in French. The French teacher nodded and continued to speak in French for a long time. Shi Yao was dumbfounded. She had no idea what the French teacher was talking about, nor did she understand what he was asking her to do. The French teacher waited for a moment, but seeing that Shi Yao wasn't saying a word, he spoke in French once more. This time, Shi Yao was able to understand what he was saying. He was asking her to translate what he had just said. But she couldn't understand a single word, so how was she supposed to translate it? Due to Shi Yao's silence, more and more people in the classroom turned to look at her. This French teacher was known to be strict in the academy. If a student whose name was called out by him couldn't answer a question, he would change the question. If a student still couldn't answer a question after 3 tries, he would choose to punish the student to stand. Could it be that Shi Yao, who had never been punished in her entire life, was going to be punished? Being stared at by so many people made Shi Yao feel a little uncomfortable. Her face grew redder and redder, and thinking about how she was likely to be punished, her resentment towards Xia Shangzhou grew deeper and deeper. Soft bun. You don't know how to do this? Lin Jie looked at Shi Yao's reddened ears, and without any hesitation, he reached his hand into his pocket. Just as he reached for his phone, the French teacher spoke once more. The French teacher repeated what he had just said before turning to Shi Yao and saying, "Think about how you should translate it. If you can't do it, I'll give you a new translation later." Following which, the French teacher spoke once more. "This young lady's name is Shi Yao, right? All right then." The male student behind Shi Yao, stand up. When the culprit, Xia Shangzhou, heard the French teacher calling him Lin Jie, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. But before he could finish laughing, Lin Jie shot him a cold glare, causing his body to tremble in fear, and he immediately fell silent. Only then did Lin Jie slowly stand up with one hand in his pocket, and the other supporting himself on the table. He was much taller than Shi Yao. As he stood there, Shi Yao felt as if there was something looming over her. The questions that the French teacher asked Lin Jie were the same as the ones he had asked Shi Yao earlier. Lin Jie. Third year mathematics department. Lin Jie replied nonchalantly to the French teacher as he took out his phone from his pocket. Lowering his gaze, he tapped into his messages and searched for Shi Yao's name. The question that the French teacher asked Lin Jie was the same as Shi Yao's. It was still a translation, just that the content was different. While listening, Lin Jie's fingers flew across his phone as he typed furiously. After the French teacher stopped speaking, Lin Jie paused for 3 seconds before he began translating the French teacher's question. His fingers did not stop moving. He spoke very slowly. Chapter 346. Just like that, multitasking, Lin Jie finished writing his message and sent it over to Shi Yao. In order to give Shi Yao sufficient time to read the message, he slowed down the speed at which he translated the French teacher's question. In fact, he even paused for a moment as if he was deep in thought. When he felt that it was about time for Shi Yao to finish reading the message, he briefly ended the question that he had been answering. Not bad, just that it's a little complicated. There are some parts that can be simplified. After commenting on Lin Jie's question, the French teacher wasn't in a hurry to have him sit down. Instead, he turned to Shi Yao and asked, "Shi Yao, what about you? Can you return to my question now?" Shi Yao nodded her head lightly before using her own words to explain the message that Lin Jie had just sent her. Her temporary memory wasn't too bad, but it wasn't that good either. There were a few minor mistakes in the middle of the message. However, the French teacher didn't make things difficult for her. After correcting her mistake, he had her sit down. Heaving a sigh of relief, Shi Yao returned to her seat. When she opened her hand that was holding onto her phone earlier, she realized that it was covered in a layer of sweat. How nervous! This was the first time in her life that she had cheated. After Shi Yao was seated, the French teacher turned to Lin Jie once more and spoke in French. Lin Jie's reply was also in French. The two of them exchanged words for 5 to 6 times before the French teacher finally had Lin Jie sit down. This brief interlude passed quickly, and the French teacher continued with his lecture. When the French teacher's attention finally left, he Tian leaned over to Shi Yao and whispered softly, "Oh, you're really incredible." The French teacher was rambling on, and it sounded like a heavenly book, but you were actually able to translate it. Even though it took you a little too long, it's still incredible. My Yao Yao is just like the female lead in novels with cheats. You're good at everything. Hearing those words, Shi Yao couldn't help but sweat profusely. How in the world was she the female lead in novels with cheats? The one behind her was the real male lead in the novel. He could actually answer the teacher's question and solve her question at the same time. His ability to do 2 things at once was truly unparalleled. Afraid that the French teacher would call for her to stand up for the second time, Shi Yao didn't respond to He Tiantian's words. Instead, she discreetly picked up her phone and sent 2 messages to Lin Jie. "Thank you. That was close. I thought I was going to be punished." Very soon she received Lin Jie's reply. "It's nothing much, it's not worth mentioning." Shi Yao replied with a smiling emoji. Then she thought of the conversation between the French teacher and her after she sat down. Because it was all in French, she didn't understand. She couldn't help but ask, "What did you and the teacher talk about in French just now?" Lin Jiej, you want to know? Sure Yao. Lin Jiej, not telling you. Sure Yao. How can this person be so despicable? All of a sudden, Sure Yao couldn't help but wonder if the person she was thanking earlier was actually Lin Jiej. Sure Yao's phone vibrated once more. It was a message from Lin Jiej. If you really want to know, I'll tell you about it in the future. A second after she finished reading the message, the bell signaling the end of the class rang. Just as Sure Yao was thinking about how she should reply to Lin Jiej suddenly stood up. Placing his hands on the table, he leaned his body forward and leaned in close to Sure Yao's head. With a slightly perplexed tone he said, "This future won't take too long." Chapter 347. Just as Sure Yao was thinking about how she should reply to Lin Jiej suddenly stood up. Placing his hands on the table, he leaned his body forward and leaned in close to Sure Yao's head. With a slightly perplexed tone he said, "This future won't take too long." Hearing Lin Jiej's voice, Sure Yao's fingers trembled, and she nearly dropped her phone. "It won't be too long in the future, what does he mean by that?" Sure Yao turned her head around in bewilderment. Lin Jiej's face, which was so beautiful that it could cause one's heart to palpitate, appeared before her eyes. This time it wasn't just Sure Yao's hands that were trembling. Her heart was trembling as well. The golden rays of the setting sun shone on his face through the window, accentuating the outline of his brows and eyes. He stared at her impassively, his gaze as nonchalant as ever. Even though he didn't look too different from usual, for some reason, Sure Yao felt that Lin Jiej's gaze was exceptionally alluring. It was as if there was a deeper meaning hidden in his eyes that she couldn't fathom. Sure Yao stared at Lin Jiej in a daze, unable to react. She felt that the atmosphere between the two of them was a little strange, but she couldn't figure out what was strange about it. Oblivious to the situation, Zhang Yu packed up her things and suddenly shouted, "Yao, let's go to the canteen." Sure Yao still didn't respond. Lin Jiej continued to stare into her eyes for a while longer before he finally moved his lips and spoke with a calm voice. "There's one more thing." As his voice drifted into Sure Yao's ears, she slowly regained her senses. She didn't understand what he was trying to say, so she replied with a very soft Hearing that, Lin Jiej glanced at the clothes Sure Yao was wearing before saying, "The clothes you're wearing are really ugly." Sure Yao blinked her eyes, unable to wrap her head around the situation. "Lin Jiej, in my family, such clothes can only be used as a cleaning cloth." Sure Yao blinked her eyes once more as she finally caught on to the situation. What did it have to do with him whether her clothes were ugly or not? Even if she was ugly, he didn't have to look at her at all. Why did he have to add that it could only be used as a cleaning cloth? Sure Yao suddenly felt that the elegant and refined young man she had seen earlier was just a facade. To think that she had felt that the atmosphere between them was strange. Had her brain short-circuited at that moment? In order to make Sure Yao throw away the clothes she was wearing as soon as she returned, Lin Jiej pondered for 2 seconds before adding, "Not to mention, it's the kind of cloth used to clean the toilet." It was getting more and more outrageous. Sure Yao glared at Lin Jiej with puffed-up cheeks and retorted, "If you think it's ugly, you can choose not to look at it. Besides, do you think everyone is like you, throwing away their clothes and buying new ones? I don't have money and I can't afford new clothes. Even the mice that come to my house leave with tears in their eyes. So if you don't like it, you can either stop looking or buy me clothes." After spitting out a long string of words, Sure Yao packed up the textbooks on the table, leaving Lin Jiej, who was still in a daze from her rage, to stand up and leave. While Lin Jiej was interacting with Sure Yao, Lu Benlai wasn't idling around either. Chapter 348. Lung Wan turned around to look at Lu Benlai, but she didn't pay him any heed. Instead, she turned around and continued packing her things. As if an unkillable cockroach, Lu Benlai poked Lung Wan's back once more and said, "Classmate, I really have a stomachache. You can't just leave me in the lurch. Besides, it's just a packet of tissues, surely you won't really." But before Lu Benlai could finish his words, a packet of tissues was tossed onto his table, followed by a cold remark. It was from Lung Wan, who didn't even turn her head around. "Please shut up." Lu Benlai picked up the tissue and smiled. Thank you, classmate. Lung Nuan ignored him. Lu Benlai didn't seem to mind that he was being ignored at all. He continued asking, "Student, how much does a packet of tissue cost? I'll pay you." The only response he got was an indifferent stare at the back of his head. Lu Benlai. Classmate, I don't like owing others anything. You're making me feel uneasy, and if I'm uneasy I won't be able to sleep well, eat well and study well. If this continues, I'll really let down my parents. Lung Nuan, 50 cents. Lu Benlai rummaged through his pockets and said, "I didn't bring my wallet with me. Can I transfer it to you via WeChat?" Noticing Lung Nuan's silence, Lu Benlai spoke up once more. "If WeChat doesn't work, what about Alipay? Student, if you really can't do it, bank transfer is also fine. You see which one is more convenient for you. Student, can you hurry up? My stomach hurts, I can't stand it." Just like before Lu Benlai could finish his words, Lung Nuan suddenly reacted. She turned around and passed her phone to him. It was the Alipay page. Lu Benlai hurriedly whipped out his phone and scanned the QR code. "Student, I'll transfer the money to you right now." As his voice fell, he had already entered the amount and password, and the transfer was successful. "Classmate, I've transferred 52 cents to you. Of the 2 cents, one is my gratitude, and the other is interest." Before Lu Benlai could finish his words, Lung Nuan had already picked up the things on the table and left. Her footsteps were swift, and it didn't take long for her to catch up to Shi Yao. Following which, He Tian and Jiang Yu also left the classroom. After which, Lu Benlai retracted his hand from his stomach and sat up straight. With a gleeful smile, he waved the tissue in his hand and said, "See this? This is the token of love that my wife gave me." Xia Shangzhou, who had witnessed everything that had just transpired, said disdainfully, "Tsk, you were the one who shamelessly tricked me." Lu Benlai. "So what if I scammed him?" "You're so awesome that you scammed me? Besides, at least I have something that my wife gave me. Do you guys have it?" It took Lin Jiej a second for him to recover from his daze, but the next moment, he heard Lu Benlai's infuriating words. A slight frown appeared on his forehead as he whipped out his wallet from his pocket and took out a slip of paper. "I do." This was the note that Shi Yao had given him back when he was invigilating the Marxism examination. If Lu Benlai's packet of tissues could be considered as a token of love, then his note was the token of love amongst tokens of love. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej added, "Furthermore, Yao was the one who gave it to me on her own accord." Chapter 349. Are Boss and little Lai trying to show off that they have someone they like? Xia Shangzhou hugged his arms tightly and fell silent for a moment before replying confidently, "I have Miss Five Fingers who has been by my side since I was young, understands me, and never forsakes me." Tsk. Lu Benlai scoffed. "As if anyone doesn't have one." As he spoke, Lu Benlai turned to Lin Jiej, intending to pull him into an alliance. "Boss, tell me, do you have one? Do we all have one?" Lin Jiej shot a glance at Lu Benlai before replying calmly, "I'm different from you. I'm not as fickle as you. I only have Yao. What does this have to do with being fickle?" Lu Benlai, who had been looked down upon instead of pulling him into an alliance, was at a loss for words. Seeing Lu Benlai's embarrassment, Xia Shangzhou gloated, "Other than Miss Five Fingers, I also have pride." Lu Benlai didn't understand. "What the heck?" Xia Shangzhou shot Lu Benlai a fool look and replied, "I'm a single dog, and I'm incredibly proud of it. Not only am I proud, I'm proud. After all, there's a saying that goes, lean on a mountain and it will topple over. Boss, I'm proud of myself." Unable to outtalk Xia Shangzhou, Lu Benlai quietly changed the topic. "Boss, what are we eating tonight?" Lin Jiej casually picked up his textbook, and without thinking, he blurted out the words "large canteen" before heading out of the classroom. On the way to the canteen, Lu Benlai excitedly looked at the packet of tissues that he had shamelessly tricked from Lung Nuan, admiring it fondly. Noticing his reaction, Lin Jiej couldn't help but curse in his heart. Childish. Then, he carefully opened the slip of paper Shi Yao had given him and read through it word by word. After which, he carefully folded it up and hid it back in his wallet. There were quite a few people in the large canteen. Lin Jiej circled around the crowd twice, but he wasn't able to find Shi Yao. After placing his order, he took a seat, but he wasn't in a hurry to pick up his chopsticks. Instead, he took another look at the surrounding tables. While they were eating, Lu Benlai was so excited that he couldn't stop his mouth from gorging on his food. "Boss, old Xia, please don't think that the trick I used in the classroom was too tacky. Let me tell you, my tricks are not as simple as you think. It looks like I'm looking for my wife for a token of love, but I'm actually trying to get my wife's bank account. Look, I've successfully got my wife's Alipay account. I'll transfer 520 yuan to her account in a few days." Speaking up to this point, Lu Benlai suddenly felt that it was a little boring to chat alone, so he tried to pull Xia Shangzhou and Lin Jiej into the conversation. "What would you do if 520 renminbi suddenly appeared in your Alipay accounts?" Xia Shangzhou chewed on a chicken claw and replied, "Spend it. Lu Benlai, you immoral person." After which, Lu Benlai turned his gaze to Lin Jiej and asked, "Boss, what about you?" Lin Jiej scanned his surroundings and replied, "I don't know." Lu Benlai, ah? What did he mean by don't know? Are you conflicted between embezzling it or returning it? That's not it. Lin Jiej replied absent-mindedly. He craned his neck to look into the distance for a moment before his gaze returned to Lu Benlai's face. "I have too much money in my account. I wouldn't notice anything less than 5 digits. Chapter 350. Lu Benlai. He had nothing better to do, so why the hell would he interact with them? Wouldn't it be better for him to perform a monologue alone? Xia Shangzhou. Room 501 had been reduced from a single aristocrat and 2 single dogs to a single dog. And now, he was the only single dog left. It was already hard enough for him. But why did his boss's casual reply to little Lilai's question still stab his heart? Faced with Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou's silence, Lin Jiej didn't realize how stinging his words were at all. He stared at the two of them for a moment before speaking up once more. "If the 3 of us were to fall out of love one day, I'm sure that I wouldn't be as sad as the 2 of you." "Xia Shangzhou, why? Could it be that boss doesn't love her deeply enough?" "Lu Benlai, or boss, could it be that you're in a fake relationship?" Lin Jiej lowered his gaze as he picked up some food and replied half-heartedly, "That's because I still have money even without love, and the 2 of you don't have money either, Xia Shangzhou. So you're still beating around the bush in the end? Then why did I respond to boss's words earlier?" Lu Benlai. He knew that boss wouldn't say anything nice, but why was his memory so bad that he kept trying to chat with boss? Afraid that Lin Jiej would continue speaking, Lu Benlai quickly changed the topic back to what he was talking about earlier. "Regardless of whether one of you spent the money or the other didn't know about it, I believe that if 520 renminbi suddenly appeared in my wife's Alipay account, she would surely return it to you. I'll blacklist her so that she won't be able to transfer the money to me. She'll definitely come looking for me. And I'll just have to find someone to leave a contact number with her so that I can contact her later on. That way, I'll be able to get her phone number." "Xia Shangzhou, I don't know where your confidence comes from, but if Leng Wan spends it all like I did, or if Leng Wan is an invisible rich second-generation heir like boss who doesn't notice the change in the amount of money, what would you do?" "Lu Benlai, that's easy. I'll report her to the Public Security Bureau, and the police will surely have a way to contact her. I'll be able to get my wife's phone number then. In conclusion, no matter whether you return the 520 yuan to me or not, I already have my wife's phone number from the moment she handed me the Alipay page." While listening to Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou's conversation, Lin Jiej's thoughts drifted away. The food in front of him was barely touched, and his head kept turning in all directions of the dining room. He looked around for a long time, but he was unable to find Shi Yao. Instead, his attention was drawn to a couple sitting at the neighboring table. The couple only ordered one meal. Judging from the bowl, it should be rice noodles or noodles. The girl was playing with her phone the whole time, while the boy put the noodles into the spoon, blew on it twice and then fed it to the girl's mouth. When the girl opened her mouth to eat, the soup would occasionally drip onto her lips. The boy would take out a tissue and carefully wipe the girl's mouth. This boy was so attentive. Lin Jiej thought disdainfully before retracting his gaze. 2 seconds later, he turned his gaze back to the couple. Chapter 351. The boy happened to pick up a quail egg. Probably because the quail egg was round, the boy didn't manage to catch it. Just as it was about to reach the girl's mouth, the quail egg slipped from his chopsticks and rolled onto the girl's clothes before falling to the ground. The girl's clothes were stained with oil. She unhappily put her phone on the table and pulled a long face. The boy immediately put down his chopsticks, picked up a tissue, and wiped the girl's clothes while smiling obsequiously. Due to the distance between them, Lin Jiej wasn't able to hear what the young man was saying. However, he could see that the young man had gone on for a very long time before the smile on the young woman's face finally lit up. Following which, the young man picked up his chopsticks and picked up another quail egg before carefully placing it into the young woman's mouth. After the young woman finished the quail egg, the young man picked up another one. Seeing this sight, Lin Jiej couldn't help but make a tisk sound as he turned his gaze away once more. This boy. Not only was he attentive, he was also a lackey. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej turned his gaze back to the couple. The girl was probably full. When the boy passed her a slice of ham, she stared at the phone screen and gently shook her head. The boy, who hadn't eaten a single bite of the noodles, immediately put down his chopsticks when he saw that she wasn't eating anymore. He picked up a napkin and wiped her mouth clean before picking up his chopsticks again to fill his stomach. The boy had only taken 2 bites when the girl who was looking at her phone suddenly moved her lips. She must have called the boy's name. The boy looked up and the girl leaned over and kissed the boy on the cheek. It was probably because in the cafeteria, this couple was not as restrained as the couple in French class. After being kissed by the girl, the boy immediately broke into a smile. He randomly picked up a tissue to wipe his mouth, then turned his head and pecked the girl's lips. This boy. Not only was he attentive and bootlicking, he was also very perverted. Lin Jiej averted his gaze out of pure indecency. This time he didn't look for Shi Yao anymore. Instead he turned his gaze to the window. As he stared at the cafeteria, a thought suddenly surfaced in his mind. If he were to come to the cafeteria with Shi Yao, if he were to feed Soft Bun and wipe her mouth, and Soft Bun were to kiss him of her own accord, he would gladly feed her a lifetime's worth of rice. But if Soft Bun were to kiss him, would he kiss her back just like that guy? Was there still a need to say it? Of course it would. Even if he had to do it in front of a huge crowd, it didn't matter. It was perfectly legal for him to kiss Soft Bun, so why couldn't he? Not only would he kiss her, but he would also kiss her deeply. Seeing that Lin Jiej had already put down his chopsticks, Lu Benlai asked, "Boss, are we leaving?" Immersed in his own thoughts, Lin Jiej didn't say a word. Xia Shangzhou couldn't help but turn to Lin Jiej as well. "Boss." He originally wanted to say that Boss had returned to the dormitory to play games. But just as he was about to say those words, he noticed that Lin Jiej's ears were a little red, so he immediately changed his words in astonishment. "Ah, Boss's face is red." Upon hearing those words, Lu Benlai immediately stuck his head in front of Lin Jiej and exclaimed, "That's true. Boss, what did you think of? Why are you blushing?" Chapter 352. Lin Jiej really wanted to head to the library. He was currently in charge of a project, and there were some documents that he needed to browse through in the library. Before heading to the library, he made a trip back to his dormitory room to retrieve his laptop. He arrived at the library rather early, so most of the seats were still empty. With great familiarity, Lin Jiej found the book he wanted to borrow and began looking for a seat. Ever since he came to the library, he had always liked to sit in the most inconspicuous corner. It was the same this time. Grabbing his book, he headed to the corner. But halfway there, he suddenly halted his footsteps as his gaze fell upon the very center of the library. Back then, Qin Iran had called a few hoodlums to stop Soft Bun at the entrance of the school. That night, he had bumped into them, and Soft Bun had said that she was going to the library to do some questions. He had followed her over, but due to the fact that he had arrived too late, most of the seats were already occupied. Thus, he and Soft Bun could only sit at the centermost seat, which was usually the least popular among students. Lin Jiej stared at the 2 seats that he and Shi Yao had sat on for 2 seconds before walking over to put down his laptop and book. Lin Jiej didn't stay in his daze for too long. After switching on his laptop, He put in his noise-canceling earphones and began browsing through the documents. More and more people gathered in the library. Even when Lin Jiej was sitting at an inconspicuous seat, he was still able to attract the attention of many. Now that he was sitting at a place where everyone could see him, many of the students in the library stopped studying and started secretly taking pictures of him with their phones. Oblivious to this, Lin Jiej continued reading the documents and memorizing the main points. Time passed quietly as he studied. When he was finally done reading through everything he wanted, he heaved a sigh of relief. Rubbing his neck, which was a little stiff from spending too much time on the computer, he raised his head. He closed his eyes and rested for a moment. When the fatigue in his eyes finally subsided, he finally sat up straight. He was intending to check if he had forgotten any important points before heading back to his dormitory room. However, as soon as his gaze fell onto the computer screen, he saw two people sitting right in front of him. Judging from how close they were to each other, they were a couple. What a weird day. Why did he keep bumping into couples everywhere he went? Or was it usually like this, just that he didn't notice it at all? With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej's gaze swiftly swept across the library. Then, he realized that there were quite a few couples in the library. So, there were quite a lot of people in G University who had a significant other. While Lin Jiej was digesting this revelation, the boy of the couple sitting in front of him leaned over to the girl's ear and whispered something to her. The boy's voice was really soft. If one didn't pay special attention to it, one wouldn't be disturbed. "Baby, do you know what kind of person I am?" The girl shook her head. "I don't know." The boy replied, "I'm a tacky person." It seems like this bro has some self-awareness. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej turned his gaze back to the computer screen, intending to look at the important points in his notes. The boy sitting in front of him continued. "See the mountain as the mountain, see the sea as the sea. Heh, this brother is really humorous. Could it be that there is someone else who sees the mountains as the sea, and the sea as the mountains?" Lin Jiej shook his head. "But when I saw you, the sea of clouds began to surge, and the tides began to surge, huh?" To Lin Jiej, only money would be able to make her sea of clouds roil and the tides surge. To Soft Bun, only food would be able to make her sea of clouds roil and the tides surge. Chapter 353. Baby, I'm really blessed to have met you. For you, I'm willing to soar to the heavens to pluck the moon and dive into the oceans to catch turtles. My God, the more this guy speaks, the more ridiculous he gets. What do you mean by soar to the heavens to pluck the moon? Why don't you soar to the heavens and dive into the oceans to catch turtles? Why don't you just dive into the sea and kiss turtles? A second ago, Lin Jiej was criticizing the words of the man sitting in front of him in his heart, but in the next second the woman sitting beside the man suddenly leaned forward and kissed him. Then with a reddened face she said shyly, "Me too. I'm really blessed to have met you. When we graduate from university, I want to marry you. I want to bear your children." Lin Jiej's fingers, which were tapping on the keyboard, suddenly trembled. He raised his head and looked at the couple in front of him. The girl's head was slightly tilted to the side, and he could barely see her expression. Her face was brimming with happiness and excitement, as if she had the entire world in her hands. The girl wasn't exactly beautiful, but at this moment, Lin Jiej found her to be exceptionally dazzling. So all girls like guys to say these superficial, glib-tongued, sweet words? What about Soft Bun? Does she like it too? Coincidentally, just as Lin Jiej was thinking this, the phone on the table lit up. He picked up his phone and saw that it was a message from the Sexy and Frisky group. Tapping into it, Zhang Xian realized that Yao Loves Ice Cream had sent everyone a screenshot. It was a screenshot of PlayerUnknown's Battleground, and she had killed 2 people. Shortly after Lin Jiej looked at the screenshot, Yao Loves Ice Cream sent him a new message. "Even though I didn't manage to get the chicken dinner, I still managed to avenge my teammates by killing the 2 people who killed them. Even though the 2 of them were at critical health and I only fired a shot randomly, I'm still really happy. Oh ___. Oh, juice. Awesome. Sis Yao is the best. Yao loves ice cream." Instantly replied with the happy emoji. Expert of the monkeys. Awesome. Sis Yao is invincible. Yao loves ice cream, instantly replied to expert with the laughing emoticon. Lin Jiej stared at the group chat for a moment before he racked his brain to come up with a compliment that he could think of and hit send. 111,111. Amazing, the future sniper goddess. Yao loves ice cream, wah. The god is actually praising me. How cheerful. Yao loves ice cream, sent over a sending hearts emoji. Yao loves ice cream, sent over a hugging emoji. Hearts. Hugs, to think that Soft Bun actually gave him a heart and gave him a hug. Looking at the red heart on the screen and the two chubby bunnies hugging each other, Lin Jiej couldn't help but blush in embarrassment. It turned out that Soft Bun liked people praising her too, however. She had replied to him with 3 messages. It wasn't good for him to ignore her, right? Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before tapping into the emoticons. After scrolling through the emoticons for a while, he found a rose emoticon and sent it over. After that, he found a hug emoticon and sent it over. After sending the 2 emojis, the redness on his face silently spread all the way to his neck. Chapter 354. In that instant, Lin Jiej suddenly felt that the few hours he had spent in the library of Heaven's Path wasn't his greatest harvest tonight. His greatest harvest tonight was the couple in front of him. No, to be more precise, it was the glib words of the man in front of him. By the time Lin Jiej returned to his dormitory room, it was already 11 at night. After taking a shower, Lin Jiej got straight onto his bed. As he read on, he suddenly recalled the words his French teacher had said to him after he had Shi Yao take a seat during his afternoon French lesson. If you were given a choice to choose someone in this world to climb the highest mountain with you, drink the strongest wine, travel to the furthest territory, ride the longest train, ride the tallest Ferris wheel, enjoy the most beautiful night scenery, wait for the sunrise and sunset, and challenge the impossible between the two of you, do you know who you would choose? Actually, he wasn't too sure whether the French teacher was asking him to translate or answer the question, so he asked in French. Translate. The French teacher shook his head and told him to answer the question. Lin Jiej nodded, and after 3 seconds of silence, he replied, If I were given such a choice, I know who I would choose. The French teacher's gaze, which had been fixed on him, suddenly turned to Shi Yao and asked, Who is it? Lin Jiej remained silent. Instead of getting angry, the French teacher continued, I have a rough idea who it is, but can I ask you if my guess is right? Is it the person I just saw and the person you just texted? Without any hesitation, he nodded his head and replied, Yes, after which, he paused for a moment before adding, It's her. Perhaps it was due to the French people's love for romance, but from the French teacher's words, he could tell that the latter had seen through his cheating act of sending a message to Shi Yao. However, the French teacher didn't punish him. Instead, after he replied to the message, he smiled and invited him to take a seat. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej put down his phone and flipped over to face the wall. He stared unblinkingly at the wall for a long time. Then a sentence appeared in his mind. I want to climb the highest mountain with you and drink the strongest wine. I want to travel to the furthest territory with you and ride the longest train. I want to ride the tallest Ferris wheel with you and enjoy the most beautiful night scenery. I want to wait for the sunrise and sunset with you and then challenge all the impossible between you and me. I want to have a class with you sitting side by side. I want to eat with you and interact intimately in the cafeteria. I want to go to the library with you, reading, writing, and whispering sweet nothings. I want to be with you. I want to be with you. As long as it's you, I'm willing to do anything together. As long as it's you, Shi Yao. As these words surfaced in Lin Jiej's mind, his heart began to beat faster for some reason. He had never felt such a strong need for someone or something like this before. It was the kind of intense desire that he wished he could have immediately. Lin Jiej pursed his lips as he stared intently at the wall for a long while before he suddenly spoke up. I've made up my mind. Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou also got onto the bed one after another. Hearing Lin Jiej's words, the two of them quickly sat up and asked in unison, Boss, what have you thought of? Lin Jiej didn't respond to their words. He continued staring at the white wall in front of him for a while longer before turning his head to look at Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou. Oh. Chapter 355. Lin Jiej didn't respond to their words. He continued staring at the white wall in front of him for a while before he turned to Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou and said, "I've decided to be with her." Xia Shangzhou immediately chimed in. "You've decided to be with who? Who and who and who?" Lu Benlai glanced at Xia Shangzhou from the corner of his eyes. Grandson sure is a grandson. Is there even a need to ask such a worrying question? Even if you think with your toes, it's obvious that it's little Junior. Xia Shangzhou said, "My grandson's body structure is truly extraordinary. His head grows in his toes. Also, what if it's me instead of little Junior? Boss might just fall for me. If that's the case, I'll be able to coexist with my bank account." Lu Benlai rolled his eyes in disdain. "Boss, there's something wrong with my grandson's head and his body. He even forgot to take his medicine today. Please don't hold it against him." Facing Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou's mischievous conversation, Lin Jiej remained calm and composed. Even his tone was flat as he said, "I've made up my mind. I want to be with her." Lu Benlai had always been a good talker. "Haven't the two of you always been together?" Xia Shangzhou didn't back down at all. "That's right, boss. Haven't the two of you been together even before you were born?" There's nothing wrong with what he said, but other than the betrothal between him and Soft Bun, there didn't seem to be any other substantial relationship between them. This is called, "You're beautiful on the outside but you only know how you feel." With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej's desire to carry out the decision he had just made grew stronger. "No, what I mean is that, other than the fact that I've been together with Yao Yao even before she was born, I want to have a deeper relationship with her." Lu Benlai, "How deep?" "I know." Xia Shangzhou volunteered. Roughly 3 seconds later, he replied with an "oh" before adding in a dejected tone, "I don't think I know how long boss is." Lu Benlai, "Old Xia, I didn't expect you to be such a veteran. But driving late at night sure is exciting. Boss, I support you. I'll use a month's worth of condoms to express my sincerity." Xia Shangzhou, "The heck? Grandson sure knows how to take advantage of others. Then I can only support the money of the old hotel. However, my funds are limited, so boss, I can only use one night's hotel fee to express my sincerity." My God, what the hell are these two talking about? Lin Jiej cleared his throat and interrupted their thoughts. "Filthy. The deeper relationship I am talking about. I want Yao Yao to be my fiancé." Lu Benlai, "Is there any difference from what we said?" Xia Shangzhou replied, "There's no difference. Isn't it still necessary to have intimate contact to become a real fiancé? Did these two guys grow up in a vat of yellow dye? To put it simply, I'm going to confess to Soft Bun." Lin Jiej couldn't take it anymore. "Confess, do you understand? I'm not as shallow as you think." "I understand, but normally after confessing don't we still have to go to the hotel? At that time won't we still have to have intimate contact?" Xia Shangzhou nodded with a look of understanding. "So, little Lai Lai, there's going to be another man in dorm 501. Chapter 356. Xia Shangzhou, who had been stabbed in the back for no reason, immediately exploded in anger. "Do you know how to talk, grandson? If you don't know how to speak properly, just fart. Even your fart sounds better than your words." Lu Benlai, "I'm just speaking the truth. Think about it, Song Chaoshi will bring his wife, I'll bring my wife, boss will bring little Junior, and you'll be all alone." Xia Shangzhou, "So what if I'm all alone? If all of you get married, I'll be the tyrant of room 501. Lu Benlai, "TSK, are you sure you're the tyrant and not the tyrant?" Xia Shangzhou, "What do you know? There's a saying that goes, only those who eat the best of the best will be the king of the dogs, or tyrant for short. Woof woof woof. Now, I finally understand the saying. The most despicable man is invincible." Lu Benlai slapped his forehead as he turned to Lin Jiej and changed the topic. "Boss, have you thought of how you should confess to little Junior?" "I haven't." Lin Jiej shook his head. "That's why I'm here to ask you." Xia Shangzhou, I haven't confessed before either. Why don't we ask Song Chaoshi instead? After all, he already had a girlfriend in his first year." Without any hesitation, Lin Jiej rejected the idea. Song Chaoshi isn't reliable. When Song Chaoshi was still in his first year, he went out with his current girlfriend, and the two of them drank a little too much. They made a bet, and one of them said, "Do you believe that I won't sleep with you?" And the other said, "If you're so awesome, come and sleep with me." After that, the two of them ended up sleeping together, and after that they ended up together. This clearly didn't fit the image of him and Soft Bun. Xia Shangzhou, that's true. Song Chaoshi clearly slept with her first before developing feelings for her. Boss, how are you going to confess? I know. Lu Benlai volunteered excitedly as he tapped on his phone. We'll have to rely on those novels I've read for now. I've saved the most classic confession scenes in those novels. Boss, listen carefully, I'll read them to you. In Bringing the Nation's Husband Home, the male lead brings the female lead back to their school and confesses on the field. The male lead gets a lot of colorful lights and a very valuable diamond ring. The male lead in Back Then I Liked You confessed in his backyard. He made a lot of balloons, and under each balloon there was a sentence of love. The male lead even put a ring in his mouth, and when he kissed the female lead, he sent it into her mouth. In A Billion Stars Can't Amount to You, it was the female lead who confessed to the male lead, but I think it can be used in reverse. After the female lead received the award, she stood on the stage of the award ceremony and confessed to the male lead. She said something like, "I don't want this world, I only want you. There's also to my love the most." When the male lead was confessing, he took out all the photos of him and the female lead from when they were young. He even used a helicopter to scatter rose petals. Lu Benlai rattled on for a very long time, and when he was finally done he said, "Boss, take your pick. Once you're done, leave the rest to me. I'll use them when I confess to my wife." Chapter 357. Xia Shangzhou. I think the first one is not bad, I like it. Lu Benlai. I prefer the fourth one. Romance. Xia Shangzhou. But the third one isn't bad either. It's a confession for the whole world to hear, how touching. Lu Benlai. If that's the case, the second option is great as well. Just the thought of having so many romantic words hanging on a balloon is truly wonderful. Xia Shangzhou turned to Lin Jiege and asked, "So, boss, which one will you choose?" A hint of disdain flashed across Lin Jiege's eyes. "I won't choose either of them." Lu Benlai, ah? Boss, aren't you going to confess to Little Junior? How are you going to confess if you don't choose? I do want to confess, but how can I confess to Soft Bun in the manner of someone else's confession? As Lin Jiege said those words, a hint of arrogance and haughtiness crept into his eyes. Soft Bun is one of a kind, so everything that she possesses should be one of a kind in this world as well. So, I'll have to figure out how to confess to Soft Bun myself. This is my way of showing my sincerity. Not only that, I want my confession to be prettier than what Xiao Lailai just said. After saying those words, Lin Jiege tossed out a "Forget it. It's pointless to ask you. I'll just have to ask you when I get back." After which, he lay back down on his bed and placed his hands behind his head. Staring at the ceiling, he began to contemplate the confession scene. Shi Yao didn't have any lessons on Tuesday afternoon. After lunch, Shi Yao returned to her dormitory room and rested for half an hour. As soon as she opened her eyes, she received a message from less than 111,111 asking her to play. While Jiang Yu and Leng Wan were watching a movie, He Tian was still in the dormitory room, watching her Korean dramas with her earphones on. Since there was nothing much to do in the afternoon, Shi Yao accepted Mr. Number's invitation, logged into the game, and entered the room he had shared with her. When he first started playing the game, it wasn't much different from usual. The two of them had the voice chat on so they could hear each other's voices, but they did not talk. On the third game, Shi Yao followed Mr. Numbers and parachuted down. As soon as they landed, Shi Yao entered a room nearby. In this round, her luck was off the charts. She actually encountered 2 level 3 Spetsnaz helmets in that room. After picking up a level 3 Spetsnaz helmet, she called out to 111111, "I have an extra level 3 Spetsnaz helmet here. Do you want it?" "He's here." As soon as Mr. Numbers said those words, Shi Yao heard the sound of glass shattering, and Mr. Numbers appeared right in front of her. After picking up the level 3 Spetsnaz helmet, Mr. Numbers headed to another room to loot the loot. After checking out the rest of the rooms that she hadn't been to before, she moved on to the next room. It was as if she had been blessed by the system. In the next few rooms she found two 8x scopes. As per usual, Shi Yao passed an 8x scope to Mr. Numbers. Shortly after Shi Yao and Lin Jiej entered the third safe zone, Shi Yao found a tree that she thought was a safe spot to hide behind. But in the next second, an airdrop crate landed right in front of her. Oh, was she hit in the face by an airdrop? Shi Yao opened the airdrop crate and found an intact level 3 helmet, level 3 armor, and AWM bullets inside. The AWM was the best sniper rifle in the game. Chapter 358. After entering the final circle, Mr. Numbers abandoned his car and led Shi Yao into the circle on foot. Shi Yao often thought that she was running behind Mr. Numbers, but the truth was that she was running in the opposite direction. As such, every time such a situation occurred, Shi Yao would need Mr. Numbers' reminder before she would realize what was going on and change her direction to run toward him. Running around in the final circle made it very easy for others to notice her, so Shi Yao would often end up getting shot while running toward Mr. Numbers. Each time Mr. Numbers would be the one to save her. Due to the fact that they were playing in 2 rows, Mr. Numbers would always have to face 2 opponents at once. Even though his marksmanship was excellent, it was inevitable that he would be hit. Thus, by the time they entered the second last circle, Mr. Numbers' armor and level 3 helmet had already been destroyed. The defenseless 111,111 casually remarked that he had lost his helmet and armor a second ago, and in the next second, an airdrop fell right beside the flustered Shi Yao, who was lying in the bushes. Without any hesitation, Shi Yao opened the airdrop and said to Mr. Numbers, "There's an intact level 3 helmet and armor here." Mr. Numbers, who had been standing beside her, quickly came over and picked up the level 3 helmet and armor, after which, he led Shi Yao into the final circle. After which, Shi Yao hid behind a huge boulder and quietly watched as Mr. Numbers killed 6 players in the final circle, successfully leading them to the chicken dinner. Even though Shi Yao only dealt 10 damage and 0 kills in this round, she still couldn't help but boast to Mr. Numbers, who had killed 21 players and dealt over 2,000 damage, "Have you realized that my existence is still very valuable?" Valuable? Soon Mr. Numbers' voice sounded in her earpiece. "Are you sure that your existence is valuable?" Shi Yao paused for a moment before Mr. Numbers' voice sounded in her ears once more. "Oh, there is. Is there a tiny bit of value in dealing 10 damage? Shi Yao pouted her lips and replied indignantly, "What are you talking about? My value isn't just a tiny bit. You should know that I'm the one who gave you the best equipment in this round and the items that you lack. Even if you didn't give them to me, I could still lead you to the chicken dinner." Mr. Numbers seemed to be drinking water. After a few gulps, he spoke up once more. "The reason why you exist is to expose my location." For a moment, Shi Yao couldn't make sense of what was going on. She took down the apple that she was about to stuff into her mouth and replied with a huh? Huh? However, Lin Jiej didn't think too much into it. As he continued playing the game, he slowly replied, "What I mean is that I don't even know how to follow behind someone to escape from the blue circle. I keep running around aimlessly, and if someone were to find me, my position would be exposed." Originally, he wanted to say, "I can't see the value of your existence, but I can clearly see that you're a burden." But before he could finish his words, he suddenly stopped. Last night in the library, he had learned a new skill from the male couple in front of him. Soft Bun loved to be praised. He hadn't been paying attention earlier, and it seemed like he had accidentally used a venomous tongue again. Lin Jiej cursed himself for his cheap mouth. Then he began to think of a way to salvage the situation. Roughly 2 seconds later, he spoke up without any hesitation. "But I like the feeling of being the center of attention. It's all thanks to you that I can enjoy this feeling." Chapter 359. Why does it feel like there's something wrong with this situation? Based on past experiences, shouldn't Mr. Numbers' words be even more vicious? Munching on her apple, Shi Yao pondered for a few seconds before asking doubtfully, "But wasn't that what you said about me earlier?" As she spoke, she imitated 111,111's tone and repeated what he had said earlier. Value? Are you sure that your existence is valuable? Oh, there is. Is there a tiny bit of value in dealing 10 damage? After correcting his mistake, Lin Jiej secretly praised himself for his quick reflexes before heaving a sigh of relief and picking up his cup of water. But barely after he took a sip of water, he heard Shi Yao's voice, and he nearly choked on his drink. Before he could react, he had said something that he shouldn't have said. Lin Jiej rolled his eyes before putting down his cup of water and replying, "You're right. I did say those words earlier, but there's something wrong with your choice of words. That's what I said earlier. Value? Are you sure that your existence is valuable? Oh, there is. Is there a tiny bit of value in dealing 10 damage? However, before I could finish my second sentence, you interrupted me. There's still half of what I said, and that is, you must be joking. You're clearly valuable." This time, before Shi Yao could find fault with his words, Lin Jiej took the initiative to explain. "As for what I said, even if you don't give it to me, I can still carry you to the chicken dinner. What I meant was that you only need to keep the good equipment for yourself and protect yourself. It doesn't matter whether I have any equipment or not. Even if I'm at a critical point, as long as you give me a gun and bullets, I can still carry you to the chicken dinner." On the other end of the game, Shi Yao, who had never heard Mr. Numbers speak so much on her phone, couldn't help but stop munching on her apple and frown. Why did she feel that there was something wrong with the situation? This was especially so when Mr. Numbers was speaking earlier. Why did she feel that he was acting like a lackey and trying to please her? With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao asked doubtfully, "Why do I feel that there's something wrong with you? Did I?" 111,111's voice came from the earpiece. Her voice was as beautiful and elegant as ever. However, Shi Yao could sense that Mr. Numbers' voice was a little tense, as if he was wary of something. Shi Yao was just about to reply with a yes, but before she could say anything, her phone suddenly rang. It was a call from the express delivery company, asking her to go downstairs immediately to pick up the package. Other than buying a gift bag of snacks online last night, she hadn't bought anything else recently. Moreover, she had just gone to take a look at the gift bag of snacks. It hadn't been delivered yet. Perplexed, Shi Yao hung up the call and walked out of the dormitory room. At the same time, she sent a private message to less than 111,111 on WeChat. "I'm heading downstairs to pick up a package." Mr. Numbers' reply was very concise. There was only a single word to it. Oh, Shi Yao didn't send him any more messages. Instead, she put away her phone and ran down the stairs. The delivery box was huge. While Shi Yao was signing her name, she took a look at the delivery slip. But other than her address, there was no other information at all. This made her even more doubtful. Chapter 360. As soon as Shi Yao returned to her dormitory room, she immediately tore open the package, and what she saw shocked her. It was filled with clothes. He Tian happened to be coming out from the toilet, and upon seeing the huge box of clothes, she immediately exclaimed in envy, "Whoa Yao, did you win the lottery? You actually bought such a huge box of clothes." Shi Yao shook her head. "I didn't buy it." "Ah, if you didn't buy it, who did?" He Tian said as she took a look at the tag on one of the clothes. "These clothes aren't cheap and they're in your size too. Yao Yao, tell me honestly, is there a super rich second-generation heir courting you recently?" Perplexed, Shi Yao didn't respond to He Tian's question. Instead, she flipped through the clothes from top to bottom, and at the very bottom of the box she saw a card. Perplexed, Shi Yao opened the card and saw a line of flamboyant words on it. "I bought you clothes, Lin Jiej." You actually won a card? What's written on it?" As He Tian spoke, she inched closer to Shi Yao out of curiosity. But before she could get a good look at the words on the card, Shi Yao had already tossed the card aside and picked up her phone to send a message to Lin Jiej. "Why did you buy clothes for me?" Perhaps it was because Lin Jiej's phone was right beside him. Shi Yao soon received his reply. "You asked for it." "When did I ask for clothes for you?" "Yesterday." "Yesterday?" Shi Yao frowned. She was just about to ask him when he did it yesterday, but before she could touch her phone screen, She suddenly recalled the words she had said to Lin Jiej during the French lesson yesterday. If you can't stand it, you can either look away or buy clothes for me. He couldn't possibly have taken her words seriously, could he? Shi Yao paused for 2 seconds before replying. French lesson yesterday? Lin Jiej. It really was as she thought. Shi Yao didn't know whether she should laugh or cry. During the French lesson yesterday, I casually replied to you because you said that my clothes were ugly. It wasn't from the bottom of my heart. Lin Jiej. I know. Shi Yao. Shi Yao. If you knew, why did you still buy clothes for me? Lin Jiej. Apologize. Alright, even if what he said yesterday was too much and he should apologize, there was no need to apologize like this, right? Shi Yao grumbled inwardly for a moment before she typed out a reply. I accept your apology, but I can't accept your clothes. I have to return them to you. Lin Jiej imitated the 3 exclamation marks Shi Yao had sent earlier and replied. Lin Jiej. Are you intending to make me wear it? Shi Yao. Shi Yao. You can choose to return it. Lin Jiej. It's too troublesome. Too much trouble? Returning the money you've spent? Is there anyone who finds it troublesome? Shi Yao was just about to reply to Lin Jiej and ask him to return the shopping tickets to her. But before she could even type a single word, another notification popped up on her phone. Lin Jiej. I don't have the habit of collecting money that I've already spent, so you can either keep the clothes or throw them into the trash can. Shi Yao fell silent for a moment before replying. Thank you then. Lin Jiej didn't reply. Shi Yao put down her phone. Seeing that Shi Yao was no longer busy, He Tian leaned over and asked mysteriously, Yao, tell me the truth. Have you made any progress with Senior Lin? Chapter 361. You're lying. Senior Lin bought so many clothes for you. There's no way that there's nothing going on between you two. He Tian said as if Shi Yao was hiding something from her. Halfway through her words, she suddenly thought of something and paused. A moment later, she spoke up once more. Yao, if what you said is true, and there's no new progress between you and Senior Lin, does that mean that Senior Lin has fallen in love with you? This time, Shi Yao's denial was much more resolute than before. No. After denying it, Shi Yao denied it once more, and this time, her tone was even more resolute and firm. There's no way that he would fall in love with me. Why? Shi Yao didn't say a word. But the vicious words that Lin Jiej had said to her when they were young kept flashing through her mind. She pursed her lips and climbed back onto her bed silently. He Tian could vaguely sense Shi Yao's displeasure, so she didn't pursue the matter any further. The dormitory room suddenly fell silent. Roughly half a minute later, Shi Yao broke the silence. Compared to before, her tone was much gentler. Tian, are you busy? He Tian shook her head. I'm not. Shi Yao stared at the box filled with clothes on the table for a moment before asking. Then, can you calculate the total price of that box of clothes for me? He Tian asked in bewilderment. A moment later she seemed to have understood something and she asked, you calculate the total price. Are you going to return the money to Senior Lin? Shi Yao nodded and replied with a light thm. He Tian instinctively opened her mouth to ask why, but recalling Shi Yao's earlier reaction, she quickly swallowed the words back down. As a friend, there were some things that she shouldn't ask if she didn't want to say. With such thoughts in mind, He Tian nodded with a smile. Sure, wait for me. I'll calculate it for you right away. Thank you. Shi Yao smiled at He Tian before turning her head to look out the window. Usually, the snacks that Lin Jiej gave her were given to him by other girls. If she didn't eat them, he would just throw them away. However, these clothes were different. He had specially bought them for her as an apology. Even though they were friends now, these things were far too valuable. This chest of clothes was worth at least 5 digits, so she couldn't accept it. It was just like how Grandpa Lin usually gave her some expensive things and pocket money. She didn't touch them, because she knew that she would have to return them to him after the engagement was annulled. Over the phone just now, she could tell there was no way she was going to return the clothes, so she didn't continue to argue with him. What she was thinking was that when they broke off their engagement, she would pay him back along with the money for the clothes. With this thought in mind, Shi Yao blinked her eyes in confusion. What was wrong with He Tiantian earlier? Why did she suddenly say that Lin Jie liked her? How could this be? At the very most, the current Lin Jie probably didn't hate her. As for liking her, based on what Liang Mumu had told her in the past, the girls who had even the slightest relationship with him were all from prestigious clans, beautiful, well-educated, and well-matched with him. No matter how she thought about it, Shi Yao felt that the probability of Lin Jie liking her was zero. This was like the sun rising from the west, the sky falling pies, and money lying on the ground to spend. It didn't exist. Chapter 362. Yao Yao? Yao Yao? He Tiantian called out Shi Yao's name a few times before Shi Yao finally snapped out of her daze. She turned to look at He Tiantian, and it took her a moment to realize that she was the one who had asked He Tiantian for help. She quickly asked, "Is it done?" The price is written on this piece of paper." Shi Yao thanked He Tiantian as she took the piece of paper from He Tiantian's hands. She quickly scanned through it before folding it up and placing it under her pillow. It was only after this brief interlude that Shi Yao suddenly remembered that Mr. Numbers was still waiting for her to play. She quickly picked up her phone and sent him a message. "Are you still in the game?" "Yes." Upon receiving 111,111's reply, Shi Yao quickly logged into the game. After entering the game room, she had barely plugged in her earphones when 111,111's voice sounded. "Has the gift arrived yet?" How did Mr. Numbers know that it was a gift from someone else? Shi Yao thought that Mr. Numbers was just making a casual guess, and she was impressed by his accurate guess. So she replied casually, "A gift from a man?" As soon as Mr. Numbers said those words, he started the game. "Could it be that it's a gift from that handsome, well-off fiancé of yours?" Godly, he actually guessed it right again. Shi Yao exclaimed in astonishment, "How did you know?" Less than 111,111, it was just a wild guess. Shi Yao replied with an "oh." A moment later, less than 111,111 spoke up once more. "Your fiancé treats you quite well." "Quite well?" "Sometimes, yes," Shi Yao replied perfunctorily. "It's all right." "It's all right, right? How can you be so careless? There are many men in this world who are rich, but they can't bear to spend their money on women. It's already a great feat for your fiancé to be able to do such a thing. You should know that there are also some men who still cheat on women even though they already have a significant other. So when you meet a good man, you have to grab hold of him." Shi Yao's voice didn't come through the earpiece. "This is a promotion for me. You don't like it?" Over-promotion can easily lead to reverse psychology. Lin Jie pondered for a moment before changing the topic. "Speaking of which, can I ask you a question?" Shi Yao replied, "Sure." "Lin Jie, what flowers do you like? Don't tell me it's like what the internet says that you like to spend money casually?" Shi Yao, "Of course not. I like snacks and flowers." "I see." Lin Jie replied nonchalantly. Then, he raised his gun and aimed it at the person in the opposite building. After firing a shot, he asked, "If you could indulge yourself just once in your life, what are the 3 things you want to do the most?" Shi Yao was probably deep in thought, so she dragged out a long before replying, I eat more, and I eat better." Lin Jie was silent for a moment before his lips moved. "Do you know anything else other than eating?" "Of course I do." Shi Yao's voice sounded from the earpiece. Her voice was light and airy. "And I get hungry too." He shouldn't have asked her that question. Lin Jie shook his head helplessly and went back to the topic at hand. "What do you look forward to the most ever since you were young?" Without any hesitation, Shi Yao replied, "I want to have a big house. The tiles are made of biscuits, the bed is made of cotton candy, the floor is made of chocolate, the cabinets are made of candy, the decorations on the walls are made of strawberries and pineapples, the sofa is made of cake, the water that flows out of the tap is yogurt, the fridge is made of ice cream, and the cobblestone road is paved with nuts." Chapter 363. Lin Jie was stunned into silence for a moment before a single thought surfaced in his mind. Is she really that awesome? He tried his best to calm himself down. As he held his gun and looked around, he asked casually, "Do you have a dream?" "Of course I do. Is there anyone in the world who doesn't have a dream?" Before Lin Jiej could ask her what her dream was, Shi Yao had already taken the initiative to reveal her dream. "Do you know what my dream is? My dream is that one day, all of the restaurants in the world will be free of charge." Other people's dreams were to become scientists, world champions, or the richest man in the world. But her dream was nothing more than a fantasy. After all, dreams had a chance to come true, but a fantasy would forever remain a fantasy. Lin Jiej fell silent for a moment before replying, "You sure have a grand dream." Soon Lin Jiej moved on to the next topic. "Do you have any regrets?" "Of course I do. If I didn't have any regrets, I wouldn't have the same dream as the previous one." Shi Yao sighed softly, seemingly in deep sorrow. She continued, "The greatest regret in my life is that the heavens have bestowed upon me the trait of a glutton, but they didn't give me the identity of a tycoon." It had to do with food again. But of all the questions he had asked, the last one was probably the most normal. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej spoke up calmly, "It doesn't matter if you don't have the identity of a tycoon. You can still marry one." He paused for a moment before continuing to promote himself. "Didn't you say that your fiancé comes from a wealthy family? If you marry him, wouldn't the greatest regret in your life be resolved?" "Shi Yao, what you said does make sense." Hearing the first half of Shi Yao's words, Lin Jiej's lips couldn't help but curl up. It seemed like his self-promotion wasn't completely useless after all. "Shi Yao, it's a pity that I won't marry him." Lin Jiej straightened his back and asked why. There was a hint of bewilderment in Shi Yao's voice as she asked, "Why are you so agitated?" "Am I?" Lin Jiej retorted. Then, realizing that he might have overreacted, he quickly added, "I'm not agitated because of your words. I'm agitated because there's someone in 235. Shi Yao replied with a few taking his words for granted. Lin Jiej didn't rush to continue. Instead, after wiping out the squad in 235, he said, "You're already calling him your fiancé, so why aren't you marrying him? Isn't that contradictory?" "That's not it. It's just that the matter between us is a little complicated. How should I explain it to you?" Shi Yao seemed to be trying to find the right words, so she fell silent for a moment before continuing. "In any case, he doesn't like me anymore. You..." It was only a single word before Lin Jiej realized that his emotions had gotten a little too agitated. He quickly took a deep breath and forced himself to speak more casually. "How do you know that he doesn't like you?" "I'm not stupid, of course I know." Hearing Shi Yao's words, Lin Jiej couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. "You sure are silly." Chapter 364. What the heck? Are you sure you're talking about me? Or is Shi Yao's fiancé really me? Why doesn't he know that I like girls with long legs, big breasts, and a sweet voice? Also, who said that I don't look at a woman's face? I'm a beauty freak, not a butt freak. This is definitely the worst defamation I've ever received in my entire life. Just who in the world dares to slander me in front of Soft Bun? I swear that I'll beat that person to death if I find out. Lin Jiej gritted his teeth furiously. It took him a long while before he managed to calm himself down and asked, "Are you sure that you don't have any misunderstandings about your fiancé?" "I don't think so. I used to have a..." Shi Yao's voice trailed off in the earpiece. A few seconds later she continued, "There was a girl who knew him and she told me about it. On top of that, she would often send me photos of the girls he was with, and they all had the same characteristics." Even though Shi Yao didn't say who the girl was, Lin Jiej could guess who she was. So it was Liang Juxi's cousin. He really didn't want to scold anyone, but he really wanted to use the word *tch to describe Liang Juxi's cousin. While Lin Jiej was on the verge of a mental breakdown, Shi Yao's voice sounded in his ears once more. "Also, I'm telling you that he doesn't seem to be mentally sound." Lin Jiej's hand, which was holding onto his phone, suddenly trembled. How could he be mentally sound? I saw a pornographic manga on his desk. It was written in Japanese, but I've studied Japanese before, so I was able to understand a single word on the cover. It's related to SM and father-daughter relationships, so you should understand now, right? Understand my ass. At this very moment he didn't want to understand anything at all. All he wanted to do was to rip someone off. Rip that dog Liang Juicy. To think that the pornographic manga incident still hadn't passed. No, it should be more accurate to say that not only did it not pass, it even severely affected his lofty and beautiful image in Softbun's heart. Liang Juicy's cousin is mentally sound, but Liang Juicy is seriously ill too. Those two siblings are really poisonous. While countless screw yous galloped across Lin Jiej's mind, Shi Yao's voice sounded in his ears once more. Say, isn't it already incomprehensible enough for a single person to read an S&M novel? They even look at father-daughter relationships. It's really scary just thinking about it. Do you think boys who pay attention to these things are mentally unhealthy? Could he choose not to answer this question? Shi Yao spoke up once more. Why aren't you talking? Did you not hear me? No, I'm here, Lin Jiej replied. Oh, I thought that he disconnected. Shi Yao had always been a persistent person. Do you think that my fiancé is mentally unstable? With two consecutive questions, it seemed like he really wouldn't be able to escape anymore. Gritting his teeth, Lin Jiej replied, I guess so. What do you mean by that? Do you think it's okay to look at those things? Don't tell me you also know how to watch those. Before Shi Yao could finish her words, Lin Jiej had already interjected, no, I won't. Since I can't escape anymore, I might as well blacken myself. I can't possibly blacken both of my identities, can I? Lin Jiej gritted his teeth and said, your fiancé might really be mentally unstable. Chapter 365. Perhaps? Shi Yao nodded in agreement. Then she continued. I think we've gone off topic. Forget it, let's not talk about our fiancé anymore. In any case, what I'm trying to say is that the chances of us being together is zero. Zero probability? May I ask, what kind of formula did you use to come up with this result? How did a talented math student like me come up with a probability of 100%? To put it in simpler terms, it was 100 times the probability of 1. Even if they were to redo it 100 times, they would still end up together. Lin Jiej really wanted to explain himself, but he was afraid that he would expose himself if he argued too much. Thus, he could only suppress his frustration and choose to remain silent. Softbun was terrible at math. Back then, she had gotten 5 out of 10 questions wrong, so there was no need for him to pay attention to her results. There was no doubt that they were wrong. At this moment, other than confessing to Softbun, he had 2 more things to consider. One was how to let Softbun know that his taste in women wasn't that weird, and the other was to let her know that he had a healthy and positive mindset. He was definitely one of the 5 good young men who loved his country. But what were the 5 good young men who loved their country? Good academics, good thinking, good work, good discipline, good style. That's not right, it should be a good income, good culinary skills, good housework, good attitude toward Yao Yao, and most importantly, good food for Yao Yao. They played all the way until 6:30 in the evening when Shi Yao had to head to the cafeteria for dinner. Before going offline, Lin Jiej habitually asked, are you still playing tonight? Shi Yao swiftly replied, I can't tonight. We're going to have our final exams next month, so I've promised my roommates that I'll be cramming on my homework at night. Oh, all right. Lin Jiej nodded. Recalling that Shi Yao's class schedule that he'd gotten his hands on showed that she didn't have any classes tomorrow. He asked, what about tomorrow? Shi Yao, I can't tomorrow either. I'm going to the antique market. Lin Jiej frowned, unable to react for a moment. Antique market? You play antiques too? That's not it. It's a grandfather who treats me very well. It's going to be his birthday soon, so I'm going to pick out a birthday present for him. Hearing those words, Lin Jiej finally came to a realization. He must be out of his mind to have missed out on such an important matter. But then again, he had already chosen an inkstone for her. It was just that he had been thinking about how to give it to her in the past 2 days. Now that she was talking to him about this matter, it was really a heaven-sent opportunity. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej asked, are you going to give me an antique as a birthday present? Yeah, the antique market is very complicated. It's very easy to be fooled. Do you know anyone there? No. That's why I'm so worried. I can only go to each house tomorrow. Do you need my help? How can you help? I have a relative in the antique market. If you need him, I can give you his contact information. You can show him my WeChat, and he will definitely give you a discount. Shi Yao's delighted voice sounded through the earpiece. Is it really that good? That's great. Give me your contact information. Chapter 366. After receiving Shi Yao's thanks, Lin Jie replied with "You're welcome" before exiting WeChat. He searched for the phone number he had just sent to Shi Yao and made a call. There'll be a lady calling you later. Her name is Shi Yao. Give her your shop address and have her look for you at the shop tomorrow. Oh right, remember to bring the inkstone that I asked you to buy for me over as well. After that, you'll have to treat her like a normal customer and sell the inkstone to her. Also, don't let anything slip. Don't let her know who I am. Don't think too much about it. Just do what I tell you to do. There's nothing else. I'm hanging up now. Oh wait. Also, don't ask for too high a price. Lower it, but don't go too far. How much is suitable? 200 renminbi? Why do you care? I bought it for 200,000 renminbi, so I'm willing to sell it to her for 200 renminbi. I'll also send her a 200 renminbi red packet later on so that she can take it away without spending a single cent. I'm a willful person, and I'm willing to do good deeds without leaving my name behind. After hanging up the call, Lin Jie tapped into WeChat. He tapped into his conversation with Shi Yao, and was just about to send a 200 renminbi red packet over, when he thought about it for a moment and changed it to 80 renminbi. Then he added a message at the bottom. Thank you for your level 3 Spetsnaz helmet. After successfully sending the message, he sent 2 more red packets, each of which was also 80 renminbi. The message attached to the 2 red packets was, Thank you for your AWM. And, Thank you for your level 3 Spetsnaz armor. After confirming that there were no issues, Lin Jie kept his phone and beckoned Xia Shangzhou and Lu Binlai to have lunch together. Just as he was about to leave, he recalled the 80 RMB red packet he had just sent, and he couldn't help but feel delighted. I wonder if Softbun got the hint. 80 renminbi is equivalent to 50 renminbi plus 20 renminbi plus 10 renminbi. Even though 80 renminbi is a little shabby, it's the largest sum of 520 renminbi in the world. This means that I'm willing to give her however much money I have. As soon as Shi Yao received Mr. Number's phone number, she immediately contacted the other party through a message. After a simple conversation, Shi Yao received the address of Mr. Number's relative's shop, and they arranged to meet at the shop at 11 the next morning. Accompanying Shi Yao to the antique market were Zhang Yu and Lung Nuan. In truth, He Tian had wanted to come over as well, but her teacher had called her to the library to organize her books. The shop recommended by Mr. Numbers wasn't too difficult to find. After getting off the subway, it only took Shi Yao and the others less than 100 meters to reach it. As her gift had already been decided by Liang Mumu, as soon as she entered the shop, she straightforwardly said that she wanted to buy an inkstone. What a coincidence! I just got an inkstone yesterday. The shop owner introduced the origin of his inkstone as he took it out. With just a single glance, Shi Yao had already fallen for it. Be it the color or the design, they were all very grand and exquisite. Based on her understanding of Grandpa Lin, this was definitely the type that Grandpa Lin liked. However, this inkstone looked very classy, so it should be very expensive, right? Shi Yao nervously asked for the price, and when she heard that it was only 200 renminbi, she immediately paid the money and left without any hesitation. But just as she was leaving the antique market with Lung Nuan and Zhang Yu, Shi Yao happened to see a familiar face. Why was she here? Chapter 367. But just as she was leaving the antique market with Lung Nuan and Zhang Yu, Shi Yao happened to see a familiar face. Why is she here? Shi Yao couldn't help but stop in her tracks. Staring at the figure, she tilted her head in contemplation. Yaoi! Lung Nuan took a few steps forward. But when she realized that Shi Yao wasn't following her, she turned around and called out to her. Shi Yao didn't respond. Zhang Yu also turned around and asked, Yao, what are you daydreaming about? It's such a hot day, you're going to get tanned. Shi Yao remained motionless. Noticing that something was amiss, Lung Wan followed Shi Yao's gaze, and when she saw the person Shi Yao was looking at, she was astonished. Why is she here too? Who? Hearing Lung Wan's voice, Jiang Yu asked doubtfully. Seeing that Lung Wan was ignoring her, she followed the latter's gaze, and her mouth widened in astonishment. Campus Farce Chin? She's actually here at the antique market too? Isn't this a little too much of a coincidence? It is indeed a coincidence, so much so that it makes one's hair stand on end. Lung Wan replied calmly. Ah? Jiang Yu's eyes widened in shock. Wan, are you serious? I'm about to be roasted to death on such a hot day, and yet you're saying that it's creepy? Shi Yao, who had been silent all this while, met Lung Wan's gaze and said, Indeed. It's so coincidental that it makes one think that fate is man-made. However, we'll know whether it's man-made or not once we head over to take a look. Lung Wan nodded and replied with an Jiang Yu was even more confused. She looked at Lung Wan before turning to Shi Yao and asked, What are the two of you talking about? I don't understand at all. If you don't understand, then don't bother. Follow us. As Lung Wan spoke, she pulled Jiang Yu's arm and walked over to Shi Yao. Following which, the three of them returned to the shop where Shi Yao bought the inkstone from. This time, they didn't enter the shop but hid in the shadows. Wait a moment, what are the two of you up to? Why are you hiding here? Due to the hot weather, Jiang Yu kept waving her hands. Even if we want to know what Campus Farce Chin is up to, we should just follow behind her. When can we leave? In the end, Jiang Yu's voice sounded a little weak. Just as Jiang Yu was about to lose her patience, Qin Iran finally appeared. However, this time, Qin Iran was no longer alone. There was another person by her side. Shi Yao was even more familiar with that person, Liang Mumu. Jiang Yu, who had been on the brink of death, was instantly revived. Oh my god, am I seeing things? Campus Farce Chin knows Liang Mumu? Compared to the noisy Jiang Yu, Lung Wan's eyes were also filled with astonishment. On the other hand, Shi Yao's expression remained calm. She simply pursed her lips slightly as she watched the two of them walk into the shop where she had bought her inkstone. Qin Iran and Liang Mumu didn't stay in the shop for too long before they came out. Compared to before she entered the shop, the smile on Liang Mumu's face was even more radiant, and there was even a hint of excitement in her eyes. Perhaps it was due to the hot weather, or perhaps it was because she and Qin Iran didn't want to stay under the scorching sun for too long, but their footsteps were swift, and it didn't take long for them to disappear from Shi Yao's sight. Why do you think Qin Iran and Liang Mumu came to the shop we just visited? Jiang Yu asked. Lung Wan pondered for a moment before shaking her head. I can't. Chapter 368. Even though Qin Iran and Liang Mumu were no longer on the street, Shi Yao's gaze was still fixed in the direction they had left in. Even the words that she spoke had nothing to do with Jiang Yu. In the end, I still managed to confirm it. What? Jiang Yu didn't catch Shi Yao's words clearly. Shi Yao was still immersed in her thoughts as she muttered to herself, Actually, I've guessed it for a long time, but I didn't have any evidence to back it up. Now that I've seen it with my own eyes, back then, when the scandal of a female student of G University spending the night with a different man was exposed on the school forum, she had already guessed that the mastermind was related to Liang Mumu. In truth, when she looked up the ID of the person who had exposed the scandal, she was surprised to find out that it was Qin Iran and not Liang Mumu. The reason why she had suspected Liang Mumu was because Qin Iran shouldn't have known where Lin Jiej lived. Even if Qin Iran knew where Lin Jiej lived, she wouldn't have paid so much attention to her and collected so many photos related to her. After all, in the eyes of everyone in G University, she and Lin Jiej were complete strangers. But Liang Mumu was different. She was Lin Jiej's neighbor and they were friends as well. It was a walk in the park for her to collect those photos. To Liang Mumu, Qin Iran was nothing more than a chess piece, a tool to be used. It was a pity that Qin Iran didn't know that she was still running errands for Liang Mumu. Now, what are you talking about? Jiang Yu felt that Shi Yao was spouting nonsense. She asked Shi Yao, but the latter was ignoring her, so she raised her voice and said, I don't understand a single word you're saying. It's as if I'm listening to a math lesson. Shi Yao reined in her wandering thoughts and glanced at Zhang Yu. After which, her lips curled up and she said, "It's nothing. Let's go and have lunch." Zhang Yu probably didn't want to know about such troublesome matters either, so she replied with a "all right" before grabbing Shi Yao's arm and prepared to leave. On the way to the subway station, Leng Yuan still couldn't help but feel a little worried, so she said, "Yao, there's no way that things are as simple as they seem. You have to be careful." Shi Yao nodded. "I know, but I can't really guess what they're up to. Perhaps they're trying to find out what kind of inkstone I bought? Or maybe they have other plans. Forget it, I don't care anymore. We'll cross the bridge when we get to it. It's not a bad thing to bump into them today. I can be more cautious. But this inkstone, Yuan, you should keep it safe for me. I'm afraid that something might happen if I keep it with me." Ling Yuan, no problem. However, you'd better leave the box with you. If they try to tamper with the present, it'll be an empty box. Walking in between Leng Yuan and Shi Yao, Zhang Yu's face was so dizzy that it looked as if she had drunk 3 huge jars of wine. "I feel like I'm not just having a mathematics lesson right now. It's as if I'm having both mathematics and physics lessons at the same time." After settling Grandpa Lin's birthday present, Shi Yao's mind was finally at ease. She focused all of her attention on her final examinations. Chapter 369. Recently, Lin Jiej's days had been rather busy as well. On top of his projects, he had to attend to his grandfather's birthday banquet and the most important confession scene. The days flew by swiftly, and a week before his grandfather's birthday, Lin Jiej received a call informing him that everything he needed to prepare had been completed. Following which, he was left with yet another problem. How should he ask Shi Yao out after his grandfather's birthday banquet? 2 more days passed while Lin Jiej was vexed over this matter. It happened to be the weekend, and since his grandfather's birthday banquet was next week, Lin Jiej decided to return home to see if there was anything he needed to help out with. On a Saturday afternoon, only Lin Jiej and Lin Jai were having lunch. Lin Jai ate earlier than Lin Jiej, so she put down her chopsticks earlier too. However, she remained seated in the dining room, showing no signs of leaving. Lin Jiej's intuition told him that there was something wrong with Lin Jai, but he continued to eat his meal calmly and elegantly, treating Lin Jai as if she didn't exist. A second after he finished his meal, Lin Jai immediately passed him a napkin and said, "Wipe your mouth. One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions." Lin Jiej glanced at the smile on Lin Jai's exquisite face, but he didn't take the napkin. Instead, he took one for himself and slowly wiped his mouth. The napkin in Lin Jai's hand wasn't napkin but RMB. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej tossed the napkin onto the table and prepared to leave the dangerous Lin Jai who had been staring at him for the entire meal. However, before he could stand up, Lin Jai had already spoken up. "My dear brother, grandfather's birthday banquet is coming up soon, and I haven't prepared my dress yet. Can you accompany me shopping in the afternoon?" Without even blinking, Lin Jiej replied without any hesitation, "I can't. Only a fool would accompany her shopping." Did she want someone to accompany her shopping? Didn't she want a cash register? Are you really that cold and heartless? Lin Jai blinked her eyes. Then let's change the method. "My dear brother, grandfather's birthday banquet is coming up soon. Have you prepared your dress? If you're not prepared, do you want me to go shopping with you in the afternoon?" Lin Jiej's answer was even more straightforward than before. "There's no need for that. Only an idiot would want her to go shopping with him. Was she that kind? Sister, I really care about you. How can you reject me so decisively?" Lin Jai sighed sorrowfully, as the saying goes, a grown man can't be kept at home. We haven't even gotten married yet, but our relationship has already turned so cold. Huh? I'm afraid your relationship is measured in RMB, right? Lin Jiej's lips twitched, but he couldn't be bothered with Lin Jai anymore. Getting up, he prepared to leave. Lin Jai didn't panic in the slightest. She calmly sat down on the chair and sighed deeply. "My biological younger brother isn't as good as my biological sister-in-law. Forget it, I just wanted a handbag. But my younger brother turned me down. Since that's the case, I guess I'll just have to go shopping with my sister-in-law then. As she said those words, Lin Jai shot a glance at Lin Jiej, and just as she had expected, the young man halted his footsteps. The corners of her lips curled up slightly as she continued. Us two weak women, let's carry the bags by ourselves. Chapter 370. Two weak girls? Soft Bun can be considered a weak woman. As for you, are you sure you aren't a female bandit? Lin Jiej knew that this was a ploy, but his feet were glued to the ground, unable to move at all. Lin Jai, who had been talking non-stop a moment ago, suddenly fell completely silent. Lin Jiej watched as she walked past him, about to leave the restaurant. He gritted his teeth and admitted defeat. I can carry the bag. Lin Jai's footsteps showed no signs of slowing down. For Soft Bun, he could endure anything. What did he just say? Only an idiot would accompany Lin Jai shopping, and only an idiot would want Lin Jai to accompany him shopping? Since he had already become both an idiot and an idiot, what was there to be afraid of? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej took a deep breath to suppress the indignance he was feeling inside before adding, I can also be your driver. Lin Jai walked further and further away, and in fact, her footsteps were getting faster and faster. Which family's woman was so venomous? Lin Jiej cursed Lin Jai 800 times in his heart, but the words that came out of his mouth were, I can still be an ATM. As if a robot whose switch had been switched on, Lin Jai abruptly halted her footsteps and turned to look at Lin Jiej with a bright smile. All right then. Since you're so sincere, I'll reluctantly allow you to follow me in Yaoya. You'll carry our bags, be our chauffeur, and be our ATM. Looking at Lin Jai's dazzling smile, Lin Jiej sneered in disdain. Who was the one who said that Liang Juicy was his friend? He said that Lin Jai's smile was so exquisite that it was flawless, bright and radiant. Could they be blind? Her smile was bright and beautiful, but there was a dagger hidden in it. If he could, he really wanted to reject having such a sister. Shi Yao and Lin Jai agreed to meet at the entrance of SPK Mall at 3 in the afternoon. It would take roughly 20 minutes to get from the Lin family residence to the shopping mall, but before 2 o'clock, Lin Jiej was already urging Lin Jai to head out. After arriving at SPK Mall, Lin Jiej and Lin Jai waited for nearly an hour before Shi Yao finally arrived. She'd thought that Lin Jai would be the only one here, so she hadn't expected Lin Jiej to be around as well. After calling out Sis Jai, she was taken aback for a moment before she turned to Lin Jiej and greeted him with a smile. Lin Jiej stared at Shi Yao for a moment before replying with a soft A second after Lin Jiej said those words, Lin Jai, who was itching to go shopping, grabbed Shi Yao's arm and began making her way over to Gucci. Along the way, Lin Jai spoke non-stop. Yao Yao, you don't have to worry about Lin Jiej. He's just an ATM with the functions of a chauffeur. Lin Jai was an SVIP in all of SKP's stores, so there was no need for her to make a selection herself. As soon as they entered, the store manager personally led the three of them to the VIP lounge and handed them a catalog of the latest models for them to choose from. After a long period of shopping, Lin Jai was already familiar with the effects of the clothes she wore. She picked up the catalog and began flipping through it as she tapped on it. Soon, the manager called for someone to bring a pile of clothes over. Lin Jai stood up and simply divided the clothes into 2 halves. She gestured for someone to bring 1 half over for Shi Yao to try on while keeping the other half for herself. Shi Yao and Lin Jai used a fitting room each. Lin Jai was the first to come out of the fitting room. She looked at herself in the mirror and asked Lin Jiej, "Does it look good?" Lin Jiej looked at his phone, not even bothering to lift his head as he replied with a perfunctory Right after he said those words, Shi Yao also came out of the fitting room. Chapter 371. Right after he said those words, Shi Yao also walked out of the fitting room. Lin Jiej immediately raised his head to look at Shi Yao. The young lady was dressed in a white muslin dress decorated with many hand-sewn flowers. Paired with the light pink high heels that the shop assistant had given her, she exuded a refreshing and natural aura, reminiscent of a beautiful painting. A hint of amazement flashed across Lin Jiej's eyes. Unbeknownst to him, he had fallen into a daze. Yao Yao, you look really beautiful in this dress. Lin Jie looked at Shi Yao from head to toe before complimenting her. At the same time, she turned to Lin Jiej and asked, Lin Jiej, don't you think that I look beautiful? Hearing those words, Lin Jiej hurriedly lowered his eyes to conceal his gaze from Shi Yao's body. Roughly 2 seconds later, he finally opened his eyes and turned his gaze back to Shi Yao. Beautiful, she really is beautiful. It's just that the neckline of the muslin dress is a little low, and he can vaguely see a small portion of her breasts. Without any hesitation, Lin Jiej opened his mouth and said, ugly. Halfway through his sentence, Lin Jiej suddenly fell silent. No, I can't say that she's ugly. Soft Bun likes to listen to my words. Besides, I'm going to confess to her in a few days' time. I can't afford to ruin her impression of me any further. Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before forcefully changing his words. Doesn't look too bad. It's really refreshing. Lin Jie's eyes lit up. Since it looks good, I'll buy it then? I really don't want to buy it, but Soft Bun's happiness is more important. Gritting his teeth, Lin Jiej nodded. I'll buy it. Lin Jie immediately burst into laughter. She turned to the manager and said, wrap up Miss Shi's dress and the one I'm wearing. 5 minutes later, Lin Jie and Shi Yao walked out of the changing room in a new set of clothes. When Lin Jie asked Lin Jiej for his opinion, Lin Jiej still didn't even look at it, replying with a half-dead Then when it came to Shi Yao's dress, Lin Jiej was just as entranced as before. This time it was a short skirt. The top was not exposed, but the bottom, the skirt was too short. More than 3/4 of her legs were exposed. These clothes are really hurtful. Out of habit, Lin Jiej subconsciously blurted out his thoughts. However, halfway through his sentence, the words, a symbol of immorality, disappeared from his throat. When he corrected himself, it became, a stunning upper body. That's exactly what I've been waiting for. Lin Jie couldn't help but chuckle inwardly, but she still put on a troubled expression and said, since this one looks good and the previous one looks good, which one should I choose? Why was Soft Bun struggling over which item to choose when she was shopping? Even though Lin Jiej didn't want either of them, he still calmly shot a glance at the manager beside him and said, wrap this up as well. Lin Jie hurriedly added, take the one I'm wearing with you too. 5 minutes later, Shi Yao changed into another set of clothes. It was still so beautiful that one couldn't take their eyes off it. However, the material of the back of the dress was made of lace, revealing her fair skin vaguely, making her look exceptionally alluring. This dress probably belongs to the category of sexy lingerie. However, Lin Jiej didn't have the guts to say those words out loud. He really wanted to cry, but he could only maintain his composure and remain seated on the sofa. So, spoiling Soft Bun comes with such a heavy price. This time he didn't even feel like talking to the manager anymore. He simply waved his hand, gesturing for the manager to wrap it up. Chapter 372. For hours later, the three of them finally came to an end. Along the way to the elevator, Lin Jie and Shi Yao leisurely enjoyed their ice cream as they walked at the front, while Lin Jiej followed behind them with bags of various sizes in his hands. The three of them were very good-looking, and they attracted quite a few gazes along the way. When they passed by the washroom, Lin Jie suddenly stopped after finishing her ice cream. With a gentle smile, she asked Shi Yao, I'm going to wash my hands and use the washroom. Do you want to come with me? Shi Yao lowered her head to look at her unfinished ice cream, but she didn't say a word. Instead, she picked up the speed at which she ate the ice cream. When she was done, she turned to Lin Jie and nodded with a smile, sure. Hearing Shi Yao's reply, Lin Jie turned to look at Lin Jiej. As she turned around, the smile on her face disappeared without a trace. Even her tone had become calm and composed. Wait here for me. I'll go with Yao. After saying those words, regardless of whether Lin Jiej was willing or not, she pulled Shi Yao's arm and led her to the washroom. Lin Jiej watched as Shi Yao's silhouette disappeared through the entrance of the washroom before he finally retracted his gaze. He leaned lazily against the glass railing of the shopping mall and stared at his feet, which were kicking the ground from time to time, with an indifferent expression on his face. Not too long later, a few girls passed by him, and some of them took out their phones to take pictures of him. He didn't raise his head to look, but he could sense that the girls were still lingering around, and he was starting to get a little impatient. With a frown, he glanced at the washroom. There were still no signs of Lin Jie and Shi Yao coming out. Seeing that the girls were still lingering around, Lin Jie straightened his back and headed into the male washroom with his bags. He didn't intend to use the washroom, but he did have an idea. He wasn't afraid of Lin Jie waiting for him, but he was afraid that Soft Bun would wait for him for too long. So, after using the washroom, he washed his hands and prepared to leave. However, just as he was about to reach the entrance of the male washroom, he caught a glimpse of the rubbish bin in the corner of his eye, and his gaze slowly fell on the bags in his hands. He didn't care what Lin Jie wore, and he didn't have the mood to care either. Even if she were to run around naked on the streets, he wouldn't mind at all. But Soft Bun was different. Soft Bun was his, and if others saw her exposed skin, he would be the one to suffer. In order to not make Soft Bun happy, he had been forced to buy those clothes after praising them profusely. However, just because he had bought them didn't mean that he was willing to let Soft Bun wear them. It was just that if Soft Bun were to bring those clothes home and wear them to class or shopping, there was nothing he could do to stop her. The only thing he could do was to prevent those clothes from falling into Soft Bun's hands. Everyone made mistakes at times, and he was no exception. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jie's eyes flickered in thought. In the next second, he strode over to the trash can in the washroom and opened the bags one by one to take a look. When he saw that they were the clothes that he didn't want Soft Bun to wear, he mercilessly tossed them into the trash can together with their packaging. At that time, he only needed to pretend that he was the one who went to the toilet and left something behind. That would be it. Chapter 373. He's really too smart. With just a flash of inspiration, he was able to resolve the problem that had plagued him for the past few hours. Lin Jie checked through the rest of the bags and confirmed that there weren't any indecent clothes in there. Only after confirming that there were only ladies' clothes left, did he prepare to leave with the bags. But barely after taking 2 steps, he suddenly stopped. Since I'm going to put on a show, I have to make it look real. Wouldn't it be too obvious if I only threw away Soft Bun's things? Lin Jie pondered for a moment before he turned around and found 2 of Lin Jie's things before tossing them into the trash can. He was just about to leave when he recalled how Lin Jie had made him a coolie and an ATM machine for the entire afternoon. Thus, he took out Lin Jie's favorite clothes and tossed them into the trash can as well. He knew Lin Jie's personality too well. She would surely find a way to buy another one for herself if she were to lose it. When he was paying the bill earlier, the waiter had said that this was the only one in the entire country. If she were to buy another one, she would probably have to spend a lot of money and effort overseas. Who asked her to cheat him of his money for nothing? Fine, I'll make her bleed now. Not only did I solve the problem of Soft Bun's clothes, but I also exact my vengeance on Lin Jie. I sure am smart. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jie confirmed that there weren't any loopholes in his plan before he picked up the remaining bags and leisurely walked out of the washroom in a good mood. At 4:30 p.m., Lin Jie had already made a call to China World Hotel Beijing to book a table for dinner. So as soon as the 3 of them arrived at the parking lot, Lin Jie drove straight to the hotel. Upon arriving at China World Hotel Beijing, as soon as the 3 of them walked in, the hotel manager immediately walked up to them and warmly ushered them to the suite upstairs. After taking their seats, the waiter passed them the menu. Lin Jie pushed the menu over to Shi Yao and gestured for her to order first. After Shi Yao was done ordering, Lin Jie passed the menu over to Lin Jie. Lin Jie took a look at the menu before ordering a Xinjiang roast goose and baby cabbage soup. While placing the order, the waiter reminded Mr. Lin, "You seem to have ordered a little too much. It'll go to waste if you don't finish it." Lin Jie waved his hand calmly. Just as he was about to say that it was fine, Shi Yao suddenly raised her head and said, "Too much? We can't waste it. Otherwise we'll just go for 2 dishes. Hearing Shi Yao's voice, Lin Jiej hurriedly swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth and corrected himself. Indeed, it's shameful to waste food. Pass me the menu, I'll take a look at which 2 dishes to order. Very well, Mr. Lin. With a smile, the waiter passed the dishes that Lin Jiej had just ordered to him. He pretended to look through the menu from top to bottom before pointing to the 2 dishes Lin Jiej had ordered. I'll just have these 2 dishes. All right. The waiter took back the menu with a smile. Then I'll follow your instructions and remove those 2 dishes. If you don't have a few mouthfuls, I'll ask the chef to make them. Without saying a word, Lin Jiej nodded slightly. The waiter did not disturb them again and quietly left the private room. The television on the wall of the private room was on, and it was playing a fashion show. Chapter 374. This seemed to be a very good opportunity for him to forcefully clear his name. But then again, he didn't know much about this fashion show. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej took out his phone and searched for the show. After gaining a brief understanding of it, he said, "This show seems to be very popular recently. Many girls are competing against each other." Lin Jiej glanced at the screen and replied calmly, "There are many clothes in the show that are sponsored by my family's company." Lin Jiej paused for a moment before adding, "And I was the one who negotiated it. What does the sponsorship have to do with me? Besides, you even added that you were the one who negotiated it. What do you mean by that? You want me to praise you? I won't do that." Lin Jiej pretended not to hear her. Shi Yao's eyes lit up as she gazed at Lin Jiej in admiration. "Sis Jiej, you're amazing." Lin Jiej couldn't help but roar in his heart. "Is Soft Bun dumb? We're family, so shouldn't she be standing on my side?" In order to prevent Lin Jiej from boasting, Lin Jiej quickly changed the topic. "Who's the first in the show?" "Her name is Xia Tian. She's really beautiful. A lot of people voted for her, especially male fans, because Shi Yao replied. But halfway through her words, she suddenly realized that it wasn't appropriate to say that Xia Tian had big breasts, so she changed her words to something more subtle. "Her figure is more voluptuous." "That's exactly what I wanted." Lin Jiej chuckled inwardly, but he calmly glanced at the television and asked, "Which one is her?" Shi Yao also turned to look at the television, and when the close-up was on Xia Tian, she pointed her out to Lin Jiej. Lin Jiej took a look at the figure of the girl on the television and shook his head. "This girl doesn't look good. Her figure is clearly abnormal. Her breasts can't be fake, right?" As he spoke, another close-up shot of a tall girl wearing high heels appeared on the screen, accentuating her long legs. "This girl's figure isn't all that impressive either. Her legs are too long. It's not like she's Optimus Prime. Also, this girl is even more disgusting. Can't she speak properly when we interview her? Why does she have to act so coquettishly? Does she think that the world is filled with her parents? This girl is even more like a man. She doesn't have the slightest bit of femininity. And this girl, she's not bad, but isn't she a little too fat?" Lin Jiej would comment on every girl that appeared on the screen. Shi Yao hadn't heard a single compliment from his mouth. This was especially so when she thought that the girl was his type. He would become even more picky. In the end, Shi Yao felt like she was about to faint. "Why does he look so different from the pictures Liang Mumu had sent me?" Just as Shi Yao was feeling perplexed over this, a young lady suddenly appeared on the screen. She had a voluptuous chest, long legs, and a perky bottom. These were all the characteristics of a girl that Lin Jiej liked. Shi Yao thought Lin Jiej should at least say something nice about me now, right? Who knew that in the next second she would hear someone say, "Don't even talk about that. His butt is so big. I'm afraid he'll have to sit in 2 chairs in class, right?" Seriously? These outstanding girls were pretty much all kinds of beauties. He could find fault with every single one of them? How strange and weird was his vision. Shi Yao couldn't help but ask, "Why do you find every single girl problematic? Don't tell me you don't like girls?" Lin Jiej's hand, which had just picked up the cup of water, suddenly trembled. H*T, did I overreach? Not only did I fail to clear my name, I even made Soft Bun think that I'm gay? Or why don't you just tell me what kind of girls you think are good-looking? I beg of you to stop tormenting these girls. Shi Yao spoke up once more. Afraid that Shi Yao would misunderstand that he liked guys, Lin Jiej didn't think too much about it and blurted out, girls like you are quite good-looking. Dash. Chapter 375. Afraid that Shi Yao would misunderstand that he liked men, Lin Jiej didn't think too much about it and blurted out, a girl like you is quite pretty. Never in Shi Yao's wildest dreams could she have imagined that Lin Jiej would say such a thing. In the instant that Lin Jiej said those words, her fingertips began to tremble, and her heartbeat began to quicken. Lin Jiej. What is he trying to do? It was just a second ago that his mouth was so vicious that she wished she could stuff it with toilet paper, and in the next second he said such a thing? Besides, it wasn't like she hadn't been praised for her beauty before. Back when she was 15, she suddenly grew taller, and her skin grew fairer and fairer. Her eyebrows also seemed to have blossomed overnight, and she became more and more beautiful. From then on, those who knew her would say that she had transformed from an ugly duckling to a beautiful swan, and those who didn't know her would praise her. At first she would feel embarrassed, but as she was praised more and more, she gradually calmed down. To her close friends, she could shamelessly say that she was a natural beauty, and to her unfamiliar friends, she would politely thank them and compliment them. But when it came to Lin Jiej, why did she lose her composure? Furthermore, it wasn't the embarrassment she felt when he praised her beauty, but an indescribable sense of panic. While Shi Yao's thoughts were running wild, Lin Jiai, who had overheard Lin Jiej's words, burst into laughter. Hearing that, Shi Yao first shot a glance at Lin Jiai before turning her gaze back to Lin Jiej. Lin Jiej was still looking at her. Perhaps she was overthinking things, but the gaze he was looking at her felt a little weird. In just 3 short seconds, Shi Yao had already shifted her gaze away from Lin Jiej's face. She could sense that Lin Jiej was still looking at her. This situation made her feel extremely uncomfortable. Shi Yao discreetly rolled her eyes, but in the next moment, she feigned calmness and raised her head to look at Lin Jiej once more. Even though she was looking at Lin Jiej, her eyes were constantly evading his gaze, refusing to meet Lin Jiej's eyes. Even though she was suppressing her anger, she still tried to speak in a relaxed manner. Lin Jiej, your joke isn't funny at all. Hearing that reply, Lin Jiai couldn't help but burst into laughter once more, and she nearly spat out the tea in her mouth. Due to her frequent movements, Lin Jiej glared at her. She didn't seem to mind at all. Instead, she stroked her chin and looked at Lin Jiej and Shi Yao with great interest, as if she was watching a show. After warning Lin Jiai, Lin Jiej turned to Shi Yao. Fearing that he would say something else that would make her flustered, Shi Yao hurriedly interjected. It's fortunate that those girls are from television. If they were in real life, you wouldn't be praising me at all. You'd be digging a pit for me. Do you know that you're attracting hatred? Lin Jiai's smile widened. Ever since she was young, this was the first time she had heard him praise someone. But this time the outcome of his praise didn't seem to be so good. Why was it so entertaining to watch Lin Jiej being humiliated? It was much better than those 8:30 p.m. theaters. With such thoughts in mind, the gleam in Lin Jiai's eyes turned from excitement to glee. In contrast to Lin Jiai's excitement, Lin Jiej's expression was a little tense. Chapter 376. Lin Jiej moved his lips once more. But this time, before he could say a single word, Shi Yao had already spoken up once more. And this time the topic had gone even further. If we were in the imperial harem, you're the emperor and we're all concubines. If you don't treat us differently, I'll be ostracized. Just that joke of yours earlier is enough to kill me. What do you mean by that? You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Otherwise, you'll lose your life. Shortly after Shi Yao said those words, someone knocked on the door of the suite, and a waiter pushed a cart in to serve the dishes. Shi Yao's nervousness immediately dissipated. I'm really hungry. The dishes are here, so let's eat. As she spoke, Shi Yao scooped up a bowl of soup and passed it to Lin Jiai. Then she scooped up another bowl and placed it in front of Lin Jiej. It's time to eat. Lin Jai thanked Shi Yao, but Lin Jiej didn't react at all to Shi Yao's bowl of soup. His eyes were still glued to Shi Yao's face. It was only when the young lady lowered her head to drink the soup that he lowered his eyelids to conceal the disappointment in his eyes. He could tell that she had purposely said so much just to prevent him from opening his mouth. Did she really think that he was joking? Or was she just reacting out of embarrassment? Or did she not want to hear the truth from him at all? Lin Jiej turned to look at Shi Yao, who was currently wolfing down the food in her mouth. Perhaps it was due to the delicious food, but she was no longer as nervous as before. Lin Jiej opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't say a word to Shi Yao. If there were really some words that made her uncomfortable, he might as well not say them at all. After all, it wasn't his intention to make her sad. By the time they finished their meal, it was already past 9. Lin Jiej first sent Lin Jai back home. In order to dawdle until the mall closed, Lin Jiej pretended to drive carelessly past an intersection and around half of the second ring road. What should have been a 20-minute journey ended up taking nearly an hour before they finally arrived at their home. It was already getting late, and Lin Jiej had to send Shi Yao home, so the two of them didn't enter the house. When Lin Jai opened the trunk to take out her stuff, she realized that a portion of the bags were missing. A frown appeared on her forehead. She carefully counted the bags, and there were really 7 of them missing. Only then did she call out to Lin Jiej, "Why are the bags missing?" Hearing the commotion, Shi Yao and Lin Jiej got out of the car. He checked again and found that the bag was really missing. He tilted his head to the side and pondered for a moment before replying, "If I recall correctly, there were too many bags when I went to the toilet, so I placed them in several different places. I ended up forgetting one of them." "You forgot." "Are you suffering from dementia?" Seeing that her favorite dress was gone as well, Lin Jai flew into a rage. "You useless ATM machine." While Shi Yao felt that it was a pity to lose those items, it wasn't Lin Jiej's intention to do so. Besides, he had been carrying their bags for so long. Thus, she tugged on Lin Jai's sleeves and said, "Sis Jai, he didn't do it on purpose. Don't be angry anymore." Hearing Shi Yao's words, Lin Jai couldn't bring herself to vent her anger. "I can't let Yao have a bad impression of me." Lin Jai cursed all 18 generations of Lin Jiej's ancestors in her heart before tossing a "forget it. On account of Yao Yao, I won't bicker with a useless ATM machine like you anymore," before grabbing her portion of the bag and walking away. You're tuning into the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.